so standing up and hanging out since hadn't even sat down yet. So
I have always wanted to do a show with a cold open.
I've always wanted to do. Well, I've done plenty of shows with a cold. And
That's fair.
The cold open I have never done. Now the seat's way back here away from the microphone so I can pull it to me. And I can sit down and then slide up in there like Chris Collinsworth sliding on over into the shot. Hello, everybody. Hello, friends. That's Jim Nance. I know that.
It was beautifully handled, Drake. I didn't even know what was going on until the dismount, and then I realized.
Well, when I was in high school working at a station in Columbia, you'd touch the board and it would fire everything at the same time. So there'd be 5 commercials and a song playing at the same time, and you'd be like, ah! So this is actually better than that.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, is it better that nothing plays or too many things play at the same time, Drake?
This is an excellent question.
Yeah.
This is one of the philosophical things that keeps me awake at night.
'Tis better to love and lost or never to have loved at all.
Does one of those helium tanks weigh more or less when it's full? Those are the things that keep me awake at night.
Wow. I like you having specific radio philosophical quandaries keeping you up at night. Like, tis it nobler in the waveform to clip or to record too low?
The sleep of sleeps. Ah, there's the rub. What dreams may come.
The radio silence that comes for us all.
Today is the day of Crispin. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will yearly on the vigil toast his friends. He that shall not wish to fight with us shall have their passports handed and crowns for convoy put in their purse. We shall not wish to die with those who do not wish to die with us.
This is our second literature bit in 2 weeks?
We few. We happy few. We band of board ops. For he that board ops with me today shall be my brother. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed and hold their manhoods cheap. While anybody who board ups speaks upon St. Crispin's Day. It was a very weird Shakespearean play. Confused everybody because radio hadn't been invented.
You want me on that board. You need me on that board.
I never thought static electricity would lead to this.
Well, it's a lot of things that lead eventually to others. It's the domino effect. It's what they call the butterfly effect, which was in that movie, The Panic Room. 913-912-4810 is the text line. It's a Family Guy line. There,
the Panic Room is what this segment has been.
I learned about the butterfly effect. Yeah, I watched the movie Panic Room. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. I wasn't listening to the open. I had my headphones sort of near me so I could hear the open playing, and then it stopped. I was getting ready to talk to Todd because Todd is now jet setting off to the Kentucky Derby. Right. I'm not typically jealous of anybody. I wish nothing but the best for people. A little jealous of what Todd's experience is going to be like, because he will never enjoy the Derby again after this weekend if he just experiences it like a commoner. Like somebody that would head out to Churchill Downs and say, let's go to the Derby. Okay, maybe we'll get some tickets in the grandstand. Maybe we'll even splurge and get a big old box with 10 seats that's looking over the backstretch. That'd be great. Or we can just go and party it up in the infield. And woo, all right, rock figures, let's go. He'll never experience it like this. And he is going to be so spoiled when you've got the private plane, you've got the bourbon tours, you're going to be wined and dined, you'll be watching it from a place that you won't be able to afford to watch it from again. He may not be in the mansion with Patrick Mahomes or Millionaires Row with some of the others, but he might be in the Jockey Club, might be in some other areas that most commoners are not able to go to. When we snuck into the Jockey, we didn't sneak into the Jockey Club. We just walked in there and security didn't stop us. That's not sneaking in.
Confidence is most of the battle.
That's right. Had our media credentials on, the square colors that allow you to get certain places did not have Jockey Club on it. We walked right past the security, looked at my brother, sister-in-law, and wife, and said, hey, take these off. Put them in your back pocket because we're in.
We did it.
And I don't want somebody then looking at our credential and saying, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. There are no wristbands. There's no nothing. They are already in here. And it's like, this was a while. It's like 2016. I think it's like, hey, there's Chuck Pagano. And Ended up.
What a perfect name from
right?
2010.
So first person I saw, it was like 2016 or something, but it was like the first person I saw, maybe it was before that. It was like, hey, there's Chuck Pagano. And ended up watching the Derby with Tracy Morgan. Right? Right.
And Chuck Pagano, I mean.
Well, he was the first person I saw. He was there.
He was the Colts coach from 2012 to 2017. So
Yeah.
I remember him being even longer ago than he was.
There were political figures in there as well. Like, it was sort of a level below, like, hey, this guy's really, really famous and really, really rich, but these people have a lot of money. We ain't supposed to be in here because it's all free top shelf.
Yeah.
And there is a spread of everything you could possibly think to eat. I mean, there's a prime rib, steaks. They got like an omelet station because, it can be, the first race is like 10:30 in the morning.
Gotta have
on
an
Saturday.
omelet station.
Like, you've got everything. They got desserts. Oh, they were giving away free Cuban cigars. There was like 20 to choose from.
Oh my goodness.
They're just free. Just out there, just free. Here you go. Here's a Cuban cigar. They had a booth explaining all the different. That's what Todd's going to be like. That's what his experience is going to be like. And I'm jealous. And I really want to know how much he's going to actually bet on the Derby. Like, how much money he's going to spend on the different exotics, horses to win, place, show, ponies, things like that.
Yeah, he's going to have a very different experience than the one his grandfather had, who rode his bicycle from Independence to Louisville, Kentucky to see the Derby. Todd will have a very, very different experience.
He'll get there quicker in his private plane.
What?
It's not his. It's not his private plane.
Well,
it's
look,
just one that he's riding on.
He called it the Lee boat, and it's like, well, it's a plane and it's not yours, but
a little jealous.
He might have
jealous.
a great time, but
Not
there's
gonna
no bleeping chance he runs into Chuck Pagano. You could not have with 1,000 more attempts. You could not have come up with a funnier name. I don't know why, but I was not ready for Chuck Pagano.
Neither was I. I didn't know who was going to be in there.
How could you be?
Like, there's Chuck Pagano. We made sure that we were not taking pictures with people except for Tracy Morgan.
Okay.
The only person we took a picture with, and he was okay with it, because when you first walk in, like, everybody's, conversing and they're talking. You're like, we don't belong here with this group. I bet they're probably talking about like mutual funds and stuff, like investing or the different people that they stole money from.
Did you worry that you didn't smell like money?
That guy runs a pyramid scheme. I can tell right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's the only pyramid that would be good about that is if it's pyramid roofing. But that guy clearly has a different sort of scheme to that. You can smell all of the people he bankrupted. I can just see it on his face. But like, it's like, okay, don't go around, act like you've been there, act like you belong. But then Tracy Morgan, there were a bunch of people coming up trying to take a picture with him.
He's the famous guy other famous people want to take pictures with.
That's right. These people are there, and unlike us, they probably have been in situations like that before, yet Tracy Morgan is like, oh, hey, I want to take a picture with Tracy Morgan.
They're rich. He's rich and famous.
That's right. Yes, that's exactly right. And I don't want to be rich and famous. I just want to be rich. You can keep the fame. I don't want, which is the crazy part about radio.
You really did this wrong, because lots of people can hear you.
It's like, it's like small town. Like, hey, in the cul-de-sac, like, hey, he does radio. Oh, cool. Hey, Dad, my PE teacher says he listens to you. Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Does he have a private plane?
Can
want to go to the Kentucky Derby with his favorite radio host?
My PE teacher was wondering if he could borrow $10,000. You know what? He can, son, and he can have it because I've got it to spend. I've got it just burning a hole in my pocket. But I'm curious of how much money he's going to spend. I'm going to text him, see which horses he's going to go with, and things like that.
I need
Forte,
bet slips.
Tap it, try. We'll go through that tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll give out some. I'll give out some picks tomorrow of what I'm going to do tomorrow. Here's a little nugget. If you're thinking about betting the Derby, Twin Spires, DraftKings, all the different places that you can go and do that, legal in Kansas. It's been legal in Kansas to bet on horse racing anyway, so a little quick aside, you could have done that for a long time. But legal, the morning line favorite and the betting favorite, because those are different, because it's mutual. It'll continue to change as the right before the gates open. So the morning line favorite, which was put out a couple days ago, and then the actual betting favorite when the race goes off, put those to finish on the board somewhere. Put those horses. They will finish first, second, third, or fourth. They will always be up there, at least since 2018. Well, 2017. 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. Morning line favorite, which sometimes is the betting favorite when the race goes off. But both of those horses, put them in your top 3 or 4 in your exotics somewhere. Just throw them in there. Doesn't mean they'll win. but you got to put them in your exactas and trifectas and supers and things like that. So 913-912-4810. There you go. Let's talk about the big news in local sports that's not Todd Lebo going and jet setting and living life like we all dream of living and getting his seersucker suit on and his cool top hat and his bow tie.
Rubbing elbows with Chuck Pagano.
That's right. Being such, he's going to be such the imposter. Such the imposter this weekend. But that's fine. That's fine. Act like you've been there before.
Who's this year's Chuck Pagano? Jonathan Gannon? He's not cool enough. I feel like Chuck Pagano would actually be a
Dude,
good
we
hang.
walked in and right there was Matt Rule. And it was like, oh, cool. Matt Rule's here. That's sweet. That's pretty neat. Yeah. Oh, cool. That's awesome, man. All right. Good for him. The big news locally is Hunter Dickinson, who has committed to Kansas. There was a watch that had been going on for Hunter Dickinson
for years.
Yeah, it feels like that. I mean, it has been drawn out and drawn out and drawn out. And then even the video he made today, it couldn't just simply be like Caleb Love that just put out the picture that he's going to Michigan. It had to be a video of him like shooting around in a gym. And apparently, like, he's got an earpiece in or something like that, and somebody's talking to him. It's like a narrator or something. It's like
a short film.
It's like a Morgan Freeman voice of like, people are waiting. People will come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll head to Lawrence, not even knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll walk into a room and see Bill Self, and he'll say, it'll only cost you $2 million in NIL. And they will hand over the money without even thinking about it because it's money they have and wins they seek.
What if he would have walked in, saw Bill Self, and was like, going to UCLA?
Hey!
He goes up for the handshake, hits him with the jellyfish, you know?
Just wanted to tell you that we'll probably see you this year while I'm wearing blue, Kentucky blue.
We're going to Kentucky.
Yeah, but that is not the case.
No.
He in his short film, he walks into a room. I don't know, probably had some coaches sitting there in different rooms because he walks in and Bill's there and he says, Coach, I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to come play for you this year. And then Bill Self gives him a high five and a hug and he's like, I was hoping it was good news, which like it feels a little bit like Bill Self and Quinn Snyder back in the day when Missouri was figuring out who they were going to hire when they moved on from Norm. And as the story goes, they had Bill Self in a hotel room, Quinn Snyder in a hotel room. And while most everybody had told Mike Alden, "Hey, you should go get this Bill Self guy," he feels I'm going to go with my instincts on this. And this Quinn Snyder guy. You know what I think? I think he's going to be a successful NBA coach, and on his way, he's going to win a lot of games for Mizzou. He may treat the players like NBA players and give them things that may not be allowed right now. But Bill Self did not get the good news that day. Of course, it has worked out well for him. But he got the good news
Hunter
today.
Dickinson. I mean, it's
exactly right.
Finally,
that's what it was.
The payoff.
It was 22, 23 years in the making for him to get Hunter Dickinson, which, in all seriousness, it's a huge, huge commitment.
Hello, this is Quinn Snyder, and you're listening to the best sports talk in Kansas City. Sports Radio 810, WHB.
That's right. You're damn right. That's right. Hunter Dickinson to Kansas, 18.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, shoots almost 60% from the floor and 42% from three, and was 80% effective in post-ups and back to the basket, which we know Bill Self, that's in his heart. That's part of the fabric of who he is as a person is, that high-low, give me a back to the basket type player. And Hunter Dickinson is that guy. He can score from the post. He's really good when the doubles come. He can kick it out to whoever. You've got a point guard that's a pass-first guy in DeJuan Harris. He does so much for KU, besides just being a phenomenal player, but also his presence on the court. KJ returning, Hunter there now, DeJuan Harris, Uday, Ejiofor. You've got Morris coming in from Texas. You've got, top 20 player in Jackson. You've got top 40 player in Johnson coming in. So it feels like a not even a complimentary. It's the cake is good, but it's the really good icing that just puts it over the top. The icing on the cake there. We talked about what Rashee Rice does for the Chiefs wide receiver group as sort of completing it, of all the different skill sets. I think Hunter Dickinson completes what sort of the roster looks like or can be or how good KU can be, but he also becomes the best player on the court. As soon as they hit the court, he is KU's, right now, as of 40 minutes ago or whatever, he's KU's best player.
And even as a bit of a new day truther, which I think we talked about a little bit late in the year, this last season, to your point, it's not just a contributor or even just the new best player on the floor at any given point. It is something that is going to connect to a part of Bill Self's soul that he has not had for a little bit.
That's exactly right.
And he's done it with different types of big men, right? Like it's not all the same 7-footers. There's a world of difference between David McCormick and Udoka Azubuike, and you go back, a few generations
Cole
more,
Aldrich
and you get to Cole
yes.
Aldridge and Jeff Withey, and these guys are different big men. But Bill Self has always seemed most comfortable when he has one of those guys that he can really lean on, and having that in Dickinson now is going to be, I imagine, a blast for Kansas fans and for Bill Self. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. I know it's only May, but I think the Big 12 is going to be really good this year, Jason.
No,
I know. I know it's bold for me to believe this, but I stand by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think KU is going to be good again too. Feels good just to say it, just to get that hot take out there. Old takes exposed. Come get me.
We'll see. 913-912-4810. 913-912-4810. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty good conference. That's for sure.
Dick Dickinson's a really consistent performance from KU recruiting these last 2 years.
Texans in a shirt that says "Beware of the Dick," which is and says "Still good in Lawrence." Those shirts will still play.
Everybody who felt like they're just warming up their Grady Dick jokes, good news. Round 2.
They have not aged poorly.
They have not.
It is aged just fine. That's what it is. 913-912-4810. Craig Stout, we'll talk with him coming up at 11 o'clock. Ty Dillon, the 77 car in the Advent Health 400 on Sunday.
The driver of the 77 car. It'd be crazy if we interviewed the car.
It'd be awesome.
It'd be really cool, actually.
Why can't we? Lightning.
Yeah, I
What
feel like we
about,
should.
Jackson Storm?
Let's see if we can get both of them, maybe. We get Ty and the car.
Yes. King?
Jackson Storm.
It'd be great.
Such a good fictional race car name.
But no, Ty Dillon, the NASCAR Cup Series driver of the 77, will be our guest coming up at noon as he will be heading to Kansas Speedway soon. I believe in the next couple of days. He's not here yet, but, he's going to have to be here soon. But Ty Dillon coming up at noon, Craig Stout 11 o'clock. And we'll play some Sports or Leisure today, presented by Johnny's Tavern. Have a little fun. Sports or Leisure at 1 o'clock. We're going to do some Royals today as well, as the Royals with a crystal ball win is what I'm calling it. A crystal ball win, because you can look into the crystal ball and hope that last night's game looks like what the future could be. It's a glimpse into what could be the future of Bobby Witt and Pasquantino and MJ Melendez and Nick Pratto and Michael Massey and Michael Garcia. Those guys, the Royals win 6-0, and those 5 players combined for 5 RBIs and 5 runs scored. In a 6-0 game, they went 11 of 22, 3 doubles, a triple, a home run, a stolen base. Those 5 guys in the lineup. Little view of, little tickle of excitement, right? Just a small silver lining, just a shred, one small thread of silver lining right there in what has been an abyss of muck and swamp. So, I saw a sparkle over there. What is that? Well, that's a 6-0 win against Baltimore last night, and continuing to put pressure on Kyle Gibson, and Greinke pitching well, the bullpen coming in and continuing that, and good at bat after good at bat after good at bat, and not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 0 strikeouts. 0 strikeouts last night by the Royals offense. So take that, Debbie Downers.
Nincompoop.
Debbie Downers.
They doubled their wins at home last night. Don't think about it too hard. That sounds like a great thing.
They're now 2-13. You know what they are since starting off 1-13 at home?
Undefeated.
Never lost. Undefeated. Never lost.
As many May wins at home as they had April wins. This is great. New month. Turn that calendar over.
You know what? Those April showers have brought Mayflowers. And now we'll see what happens with this team. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Donovan Smith.
Yeah, what the heck?
The newest chief I told you, the Chiefs, they're going to get some of those tackles, right? They're going to get one in the first or second or third round or fourth round, and then you got to go out and sign somebody too. Like, they are going to be working the tackle market. We all said once they drafted Wanya Morris that, of course, at that point, they were going to go and sign a couple of more people. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810, the text line, to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. We continue with more Zone right after this.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, beautiful weather outside. It is a gorgeous day. It was a gorgeous day yesterday. Gorgeous day feels like going to be today as well. And if you're outside, I don't know, go ahead and take a look at the roof up there. Go ahead and just see what the roof looks like on top of your house to see if it's something you need to check out, to see if it's something you need to go and get repaired. Pyramid Roofing. Look, if there's a storm that comes through, which certainly can happen, don't trust the storm-chasing roofing companies that are nowhere to be seen after a few months. You want to go with a company you can trust. It's been in Kansas City for over 30 years. Pyramid Roofing. The only call you need to make, it's 816-966-1101. You can go to pyramidroofingkc.com. Not only with the roofs, but the gutters, the gutter guards, eaves, and overhangs, the different things they were able to do for my house, the downspouts that needed to be widened, needed to, you know what? They weren't big enough for the rainfall, and it was becoming a problem because it was starting to overflow and then land on the concrete next to our basketball goal, which started to chip away at the concrete. And that's a big freaking deal, okay? You know, that is a first world problem that Pyramid was able to come in and solve for those that have basketball goals somehow as we bought the house in their backyard. So that was cool. Not our idea. Go ahead and give them a call, 816-966-1101. If you have that or not, gutters, roofing, whatever you're looking for, 816-966-1101. Check them out, pyramidroofingkc.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who...
What is this music intro thing that we hear? What is going on here? What is this sorcery you play?
No static electricity this time.
There we go. Love it.
The band is Static Electricity. Is that what you said?
No, it's called No Static Electricity this time.
Ooh.
That's the band name. I don't know. Maybe Bickmer can help us out with that.
That sounds like a Fall Out Boy song title now. Like, no static electricity this time,
This
parentheses,
time.
where is your boy tonight?
This time. 913-912-4810 is the text line. So what do we make of Donovan Smith? Donovan Smith last night, it's enjoyable. I don't know who tweeted it last night, but it's so true. Because as soon as the news sort of came out, then you're just on Twitter, just scrolling and looking through Twitter and seeing all the different any information that can come out. Reports Nate Taylor saying that the Chiefs are viewing him as a starter, think he's fully healthy, and the plan is for him to be a starter. So you're looking at that. But the tweet that made me laugh, and I'm like, it's so true, is it was like, there's nothing like surprising Chiefs news to open it up and then you're like, well, this was unexpected. Let's talk about it. Let's actually discuss this in real time, which hasn't been discussed for weeks on end. We talked about FAU a lot. Felix and Udike Uzama so when they drafted him, there was a lot of conversation that had already been had about him. It's not like it came out of nowhere like Trent McDuffie. That was sort of surprising, but everybody was paying attention to the draft. If you were on Twitter last night or not, all of a sudden Donovan Smith has reported that he's a Chief.
Now Cynthia Freeland has an answer why she wasn't getting a call back.
Ooh.
There it is. And
Brett Veach is busy.
he's got a lot of sand in the pants. I've been told about Donovan Smith.
That is true. He's a large fella.
That's what I've been told. So that comes out yesterday, and it's a one-year deal worth up to $9 million. I have not seen the parameters yet as to what the baseline is, what the incentives are, what are likely to be earned, what are unlikely to be earned, because that's a big part of the salary cap this year. So if those incentives are likely to be earned, it's going to count this year when they don't have a whole lot of flexibility right now with Jerick McKinnon signing their rookie class, which I had mentioned before is going to be about $3.5 million. It's going to go against the cap because it's just the first couple of picks that will really count against the top 51, more than what's already being counted as the minimum salaries that are there. So you've got to add that into the mix. So what are the incentives? And how likely are they to be earned? My first reaction, initial reaction, was I was surprised at so many excited tweets about now Jawaan Taylor is the right tackle and the Chiefs have a left tackle and Donovan Smith, and that's the plan now. And look how good this offensive line is going to be. They've clearly upgraded at right tackle. And did they get much worse from Orlando Brown to Donovan Smith at the left side? I was surprised at that, mainly because we've actually talked about Donovan Smith on the show.
Almost 2 months ago.
When he was released, and my thought at the time was, no, thank you. Unless the plan was to draft a first-round tackle and put that guy at right tackle, and if Donovan Smith is your veteran that can be a stopgap type player, okay, I'd be okay with that. But if he's the answer, then I think they should ask a different question. And that question would be, who's depth on the offensive line that can help in a two deep? Donovan Smith. Okay, I like that answer. So my first reaction was, not sure the excitement over Donovan Smith. I think it's more name only rather than level of play. I think he adds depth to the offensive line mix. I think Jawaan Taylor is the starting left tackle. Donovan Smith might be competing with Lucas Niang and Wanya Morris to start at the right side, or he could be the main backup at the left side with Jawaan Taylor. But they're paying Jawaan Taylor $20 million. Not necessarily that he has to be the left tackle. They're paying him left tackle money, and there's been talk about him playing left tackle. It would be odd if then you bring in Donovan Smith, who the Buccaneers said thanks but no thanks, we're moving on from. And there clearly weren't a lot of suitors for Donovan Smith since it's May 3rd, yesterday, when they signed him. It was after the whole compensation formula that goes into the free agency, so maybe that had something to do with it. But that was my initial reaction, Josh. What was yours? Before Nate Taylor's tweet about them saying they're viewing him as a starter.
Yeah, well, so to me, the biggest picture early reaction that has stayed consistent for me is, and this is not a negative judgment of it, but this is just a move where the Chiefs haven't done something like this in a while, where I genuinely do not know what their plan is. Not that I don't see a way that this works out. I think there are several ways that this makes sense, but I really don't know what they're thinking, to your point. So
But it's not a, what are you thinking? This is the dumbest thing ever.
Absolutely. It is not, it's not,
What are you thinking?
It's, oh, what are you thinking?
What are you thinking?
What are you thinking?
What are you thinking for dinner? What are you thinking for dinner?
Exactly. It's not that I don't like what's under the cloche.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what's under there.
Yeah.
I trust the chef, but I don't know what he made. My first take from all of it is about this idea of left tackle money.
Yeah.
And I just don't think I care about that particular moniker. It is, maybe I'm even just like having to condition myself about it with Joe Thuney, who is getting left tackle money and playing left guard. But I really don't care which side Jawaan Taylor plays on in a vacuum. Mitchell Schwartz was the Chiefs' best offensive tackle when he was here, and Eric Fisher was a very good left tackle, but Mitchell Schwartz was the best lineman of that group.
True.
A deserving Hall of Famer who probably, unfortunately, won't get in, but would certainly earn it in my book. And that wasn't a problem for me. I didn't care who made what. He was the best player on that offensive line. I want to see the best 5 players in their best 5 spots, which doesn't always mean everyone at their most comfortable, but wherever that puts them, I want to see what your best unit of 5 is.
Yeah.
I don't know how Donovan Smith impacts that. I don't know if he changes it at left tackle, at right tackle, as swing tackle, somewhere for pure left tackle depth, but I really don't mind which side Taylor plays on. I am now kind of in my next phase of sorting through all of it. I'm now very curious how the Chiefs view Wanya Morris, because that matters here as well. So there's a lot to soak in there, but those are kind of my first early things where I don't really care which side Jawaan Taylor's on. Figure out the best 5, but what are they planning on? How do they currently project their best 5?
And it's interesting part because we discussed that if they drafted a left tackle in the first round and you had a left tackle on a rookie contract and Jawaan Taylor at the right side making 20, who cares how you're allocating the money? It's essentially your tackles are making like $23-24 million combined.
Which would be awesome at that.
Which is a little less than what Fisher and Schwartz were making combined in 2020, the year that, last year that they were with the Kansas City Chiefs. The surprise to me came when Nate Taylor tweeted out that the Chiefs are projecting Donovan Smith, who was considered fully healthy, to be a starter next season. At this point, both options are available to the Chiefs. Smith could start at left tackle with Jawaan Taylor at right, or vice versa. That's where I'm wondering, okay, what's the plan here?
Yep, me too.
Because if the plan is for Donovan Smith to start at the right side and Jawaan Taylor at left tackle, okay. It makes more sense to me to do that, because I also think there would be a chance that Lucas Niang could still start at the right side, or Wanya Morris on the right side. That it gives them the flexibility, it gives them the depth. And if Donovan Smith is not starting, loses the job to Niang or whatever, and Jawaan Taylor goes down, Donovan Smith could fill in instead of Prince Tega Winogo, or even moving Joe Thuney to left tackle, which we all know would have been what they did last year if Orlando Brown would have gotten hurt. They weren't. I don't think they were going to go into battle with, okay, Prince, go get there at left tackle. It would have been, okay, Allegretti, get in there at left guard, Thuney, go play left tackle to get us through this, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do at left tackle moving forward. It would be really surprising to me if Donovan Smith starts at left tackle. I know you best 5 offensive linemen, that's what Andy Reid, that's what they want to do. Put your best 5 offensive linemen out there, figure it out after that. So if your best 5 involves Jawaan Taylor and Donovan Smith, but you feel like your best 5 are at their natural positions that they've always played, is Donovan Smith left tackle, Jawaan Taylor right tackle, okay. But they paid Jawaan Taylor the money as their left tackle. So what would be the plan for 24? Because
I think this is the right question.
I don't know if they're just going to keep patching it together on the left side while Jawaan Taylor plays the right side. But if their plan was to move Jawaan Taylor to the left side, then does Donovan Smith stop that plan for someone who the Buccaneers said no thank you, and he was awful last year, and he's had tons of penalties over the last few years? He's been pretty darn good in his career. He's not even 30 years old yet. He looked like he was 35 last year playing. There's talk about him being injured, but Buccaneers fans have been done with him for a couple of years.
Right.
So if the plan is for Jawaan Taylor to move to left tackle, it would be weird if Donovan Smith then stops and halts that plan and they say, okay, let's put Juwan Taylor at the right side for one more year, and then we'll put him at the left side next year.
Yeah, and the other thing you would hate to see is for Smith to start at left tackle, play 6 games, be terrible, and now you're kicking Juwan Taylor over there after a whole training camp on the right side. I would certainly want to avoid that. And then also on the injury front, the first tweet I found about his elbow last year was Todd Bowles says Donovan Smith suffered a hyperextended elbow. It will be a pain tolerance issue. That was on September 12th. That is like the first Monday of the NFL season, I think, right? So he was playing through that last year to whatever extent that ended up impacting his play, whatever. I don't like the idea of your 2 starting tackles being at different positions than they played their entire careers up to this point. Mitch Schwartz tweeted last night that he hoped that Juwan stayed at right tackle because he doesn't love the idea of 2 guys flipping sides. But I think you're asking the right questions, though, about what does it mean about the long term, which is why I'm asking about Wanya Morris again and asking if this passes the smell test for you. He started as a left tackle at Tennessee. Played there first 2 years, I think, ultimately, right? Was on all freshman team at the left tackle.
Freshman at left tackle.
Yes,
you know?
and was decorated doing it. And then he ends up on the right side at Oklahoma with Anton Harrison on the left side. The Chiefs traded up for Wanya Morris with DeJuan Jones still on the board, with a handful of tackles still on the board who felt like they would have been quote unquote values by the consensus boards. All those conversations we've had. If the Chiefs thought that Wanya Morris was being undervalued because he was a left tackle who just got most recently pigeonholed as the right tackle, and Matt Lane made this point on Twitter, I'm with them. You would rather have the guy who had played his best ball on the left side, not the inverse, which is where Wanya Morris played his best football as a right tackle with Oklahoma. But if the Chiefs do see left tackle in the future for Morris, I would argue they didn't pay Juwan Taylor to be a left tackle. They paid him to be flexible. And so we would, if it would have been on Anton Harrison, who was coming from the left side, could you have left him on the left side and then left Taylor on the right? If they think, you know what, Donovan Smith can be our left tackle this year, Wanya Morris is going to be repping on the left side all camp long, and if Smith stinks or gets hurt, he would be the next man up. And Lucas Niang, maybe he's the legit swing tackle option if they still have some faith in him, which this move definitely makes you question. But if he could be a swing tackle option, then maybe Wanya even has another barrier between him and starting this year, or he's your guy who could step in on the right side if something happens to Taylor. And I'm not trying to sell you on that because it's my vision, because I don't think that's how I would have done it. But if their plan was, hey, here's how we're going to be flexible. We're going to sign Juwan Taylor, then we're either going to draft a left tackle in the first round and keep Taylor on the right side, or we're going to draft a future left tackle and then sign the best available veteran, in this case, Donovan Smith. I could see that having been the plan, even though it is not what I expected it to be literally one day ago.
Well, Donovan Smith, I don't know, like before yesterday, I would have said, yeah, he doesn't change the plans much for the future or what I think this team will look like this year. But going a little bit deeper into it, having the draft take place, feeling like the Chiefs wanted to trade up and get Anton Harrison. That's my guess.
Yeah.
When it was they were trying to get up to the 24 to 27 range, but Jacksonville wanted Anton Harrison, so they weren't going to trade back to 31. That was their guy. They had spotted him. They had identified him. They've got Cam. That's going to be suspended. Juwan Taylor is a Chief. The last thing Jags are going to do is trade back with the Chiefs, so they take their offensive lineman, and now they got 2 guys who they're Juwan Taylor, and now they're Anton Harrison, who Anton Harrison viewed as a right tackle, but he played left tackle at Oklahoma. So maybe that was the plan. And part of the plan, and as I think back to Juwan Taylor's introductory press conference, as opposed to Orlando Brown, the main difference we talked about with Juwan Taylor and Orlando Brown at the press conference was Orlando Brown was, I'm a left tackle, I'm a left tackle, I'm a left tackle, I'm a left tackle. I'm here to play left tackle. My dad said if you're going to play tackle, you play left tackle. I was tired of playing right tackle, moved to left tackle. That's why I'm here. I'm a left tackle. Juwan Taylor, I'm a tackle. So if they play me at the left side, the right side, I'm here to play football, and I'm here to play whichever side. I wonder, looking back now, and Donovan Smith, Wanya Morris, things like that, maybe the intent to go get Anton Harrison, I wonder if there was a conversation with Juwan Taylor that, hey, right now, as it stands, you're our starting left tackle.
Right.
We may move you to the right side. You have to be okay with that.
Yep.
By the way, here's the check.
Yep.
Are you okay with that? That's a 2.
Yes.
And it ain't. It's followed by a 0 and then a comma.
We're giving him a flexibility bonus.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Not just his willingness, but for his skill set.
Exactly. So here's a 2 and a 0 and then a comma, not just a 2 and a comma.
Yep.
Are you willing to play either side of the line depending on how the roster is constructed from now until the Thursday of opening night in the NFL? Yeah, whatever you need me to do, Coach. Great. I need to know you're honest about it, though.
Right.
I need to know you're truly serious and not going to be an issue, and now you're pouting because you aren't playing left tackle. Because $20 million makes a whole lot of pouting go away. Mm-hmm. He had mentioned that a couple of times, whatever side they want me to play. So then it was, Jawaan Taylor's our left tackle, Jawaan Taylor's our left tackle, Jawaan Taylor's our left tackle. Because we're not going to say he's our right tackle and pigeonhole ourselves to where if we don't get a left tackle, we're screwed. And now it looks like we're just guessing along the way, and now we got to move Jawaan Taylor to the left side. No, this was the plan. Oh, it was the plan, but we've got so much flexibility with him, we can adjust and be fluid with the plan. So it could be that Wanya Morris, Donovan Smith are the spot at left tackle, and Jawaan Taylor stays at right tackle, and they've got a veteran and a placeholder for a guy they feel like has all of the physical traits to be a left tackle, has the athleticism, the longest arms. He's got Gumby arms. Yeah. He's got Stretch Armstrong, not Gumby, but Stretch Armstrong arms, hands that, are like Javon Curse freak hands. And he's really good at getting out and pulling and doing some of those things. He's got to get stronger, and he's got a lot of technique work. A year with Andy Heck and Andy Reid, he might be the guy next year. They go, here's our left tackle, Donovan Smith, thank you. Here's $6 million with your incentives and everything else they got to. Didn't get to 9, but blah, 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 blah. And Jawaan Taylor staying over at the right side. We got 3 more years, and now we've got $23 million or $22 million in our tackles, and Wanya Morris is a second-year player at left tackle. It makes a little more sense from that standpoint, putting all of the pieces of the puzzle, what feels like, together now that we've got more data. I agree, Josh.
But also, I don't know.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
The Royals are set to welcome the A's this weekend with a retirement ceremony set for Saturday for Lorenzo Cain. Lock in your seats to be at the K and save with Tickets for Less. Head over to ticketsforless.com today to lock in your seats for Saturday, and be sure to use code 810 at checkout to get a discount. That's right. Simply use promo code 810, that's 810, at ticketsforless.com and save on your next ticket order. Shop tickets with no fees and save at ticketsforless.com.
exciting on this Thursday edition. This has been a blast. This first hour has been a lot of fun. So many things going on and working behind the scenes and stuff like that. Right now, Josh Briscoe is in the studio, is in the control room.
Static electricity over here.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, there we go. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810. Text says, I think this marks the end for Niang. I think Morris becomes swing and Kennard becomes backup interior lineman. A year to evaluate them before next year's draft. I think it could be. It could be the end of Niang, but if the view is that may the best man win and Juwan Taylor is your left tackle, and they feel like, all right, Donovan Smith, he might be recovered from the injury, but Juwan Taylor has really taken the left tackle. Remember when they were showing workout videos of Juwan Taylor, he was working out with his drop sets on the left side, his left foot back and dropping that way. Not necessarily, maybe he was doing some others that we didn't see, but the video that was released, he was working out and training as a left tackle.
There's also kind of like almost an urban legend part of the Super Bowl, 55 story of everything falling apart in front of Patrick Mahomes, where people went, it's just because the Chiefs didn't invest in their offensive line enough. Which is dumb. It's just because everybody in front of Mahomes got hurt. Well, now if your backup tackles are suddenly, let's go ahead and make it Donovan Smith and Wanya Morris, the guys who have been here the least amount of time now, or really any combination. Your top 4 tackles now are all going to hopefully give you a fighting chance. If Wanya is inconsistent as a rookie, but he gets forced in there to some extent, he's going to be better than your average 4th-string tackle. I think the same goes for Niang, even if they are kind of out on him at this point. They are adding depth in addition to real competition for the starting spot. It's expensive depth for Smith, though, which is what makes that up to $9 million so interesting.
Yeah. Trying to look back and read some of the quotes from the Chiefs on, couldn't be Thursday draft night, and that's when Veach and Andy Reid talked, but Friday draft night when Wanya Morris was drafted, he was asked about, you've played left and right tackle. He said, my versatility speaks for itself, but I don't know where I'm going to go in there and play. I'm going to play whatever they need me to play. He goes, but shoot, I just got drafted, so I'm enjoying this moment right now. I can't even tell you how excited I am at this moment. Whatever they need me to play, I'm going to play, and that's that. That was the question about, hey, left side, right side, you've played both in your career. He was asked about playing next to Trey Smith and how awesome that was. They both have a very nasty streak to them. There were some videos of he and Trey Smith playing next to each other when Trey Smith was a left guard and Wanya Morris was the left tackle, and them bullying a couple of players. So that may be on the right side this year. He may be playing next to Trey Smith. He may not. He may be, playing next to Joe Thuney, which, by the way, if you're going to be playing a younger guy or if you have somebody that might be a little less than ideal, playing next to one of the best guards in football can help. And Jerick McKinnon has been a security blanket for Orlando Brown and the Chiefs, and certainly he might be that for whether it's Donovan Smith, Wanya Morris, or Juwan Taylor, or if Juwan Taylor's on the left side, then Donovan, Niang, Wanya on the right side.
To the point from the texter about Niang, I actually had a whole tweet typed up last night as I was also enjoying the very online experience. To where, I was saying something along the lines of, I can't see how this is anything other than a vote of no confidence in Lucas Niang. Then I thought about it a little longer and thought, well, if it is Donovan Smith at left tackle and they're going to drop Juwan Taylor on the right side and Wanya is a right tackle in the future, whatever, they need to trust that Lucas Niang can actually play left tackle if Donovan Smith just stinks again.
Yeah.
I really, going back to the theme, I really don't know.
Or they've got faith in Prince. It doesn't feel like they have faith in Prince Tega Wanogho when you bring in Donovan Smith. Another tweet comes in and says, this feels like offensive line depth. That's it. And it could be.
It's just expensive.
I'll tell you this. From Friday morning to now, I feel better about the 2 deep for the Chiefs offensive line.
You should.
And that's really all you
Together,
can base it on.
We're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, and Drake. All right, let's bring in our man Craig Stout from KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com. KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, boy, there is so much to talk about with you, so let's go ahead and get in and dive into it. We finished the last hour, Craig, talking about Donovan Smith and what it means and things like that. What's your takeaway? What's your reaction to the former Buccaneer, not yet turned 30, although he looked 45 last year? He's signed by the Chiefs, and Nate Taylor saying the plan is that he's a starter. So what do you think of Donovan Smith, the newest Chief?
I think that this is a quality depth signing. I think that, obviously when these announcements kind of come out and, projecting starters and stuff like that, I am old enough to remember when Lucas Niang a couple years ago was confidently the starter shortly before the Kansas City Chiefs traded for Orlando Brown Jr. So a lot of times agents put stuff out, team reporters report it, nothing wrong with what they're doing there or anything like that. I truly believe that this is going to be offensive tackle depth, potentially left tackle depth when you've got a former right tackle switching to left tackle. It gives you another brain in the room to help out with a whole bunch of young guys. It makes a lot of sense for a quality depth signing that if something happened where you didn't trust one of the right tackles to play at a high level and you needed Jawaan Taylor to come over there and play right tackle, it offers you a similar floor to maybe what you had last year, and you're not thrusting a rookie or a young player that hasn't played left tackle into that role.
What do you make of Nate Taylor's tweet, though, that the Chiefs are projecting Donovan Smith to be a starter next season? It could be Jawaan Taylor on the right side, Donovan Smith left side, or vice versa. Because my first reaction is quality depth. I like the two deep at the tackle spot better today than I did Friday morning. That was interesting to hear that, because I didn't view Donovan Smith as, okay, this guy's going to be a starter, because I didn't really view Donovan Smith as somebody that I wanted the Chiefs to go out and sign. But that may change when we actually see him. But does it change your view when you hear Nate Taylor say the Chiefs are considering him fully healthy and projecting him to be a starter on this offensive line?
I mean, it doesn't really change my view too terribly much there. There's a lot of camp to get through. There's a lot of positioning to get through. They got a brand new left tackle. A brand new left tackle in Jawaan Taylor that's just coming over here. If he ends up playing right tackle, that $20 million is not going to waste by any means here. I think they'll play the best five that are out there, but I do think that this is just kind of an insulatory move, especially since this deal is up to $9 million. The Kansas City Chiefs have $4.8 million available, according to the NFLPA right now, before they make any moves. Donovan Smith signing means that he's surely underneath that in guaranteed money. That's not starter level money to me personally, but we will see.
Mike Borgonzi on Friday night was asked about Wanya Morris and as it relates to Jawaan Taylor. The question was, does adding Wanya Morris mean that Jawaan Taylor is going to play left tackle? His answer, I don't think anything is set in stone right now. We'll get to OTAs, and Coach Heck plays these guys everywhere, just kind of see what's the best five and who fits where. That's all up to Coach Heck and the offensive staff. Pretty vague, but I start to piece some things together, Craig, and I look back and I hear that the press conference for Jawaan Taylor, I talked about it at the time, that it was so different from Orlando Brown because Orlando Brown was only left tackle. I'm playing left tackle. That's all I'm going to be is left tackle. It's about my dad. It's about family lineage. I don't care that I get more money at left tackle. It's about left tackle. That's what it is, and I'm only going to play left tackle. Jawaan Taylor didn't say that. He was, hey, whatever you need me to do. If it's left tackle, right tackle, I'm here to help out the Chiefs and protect Patrick Mahomes on whatever side. And I do wonder if, hey, the plan is for you to play left tackle, but we need to know that if you are going to play right tackle, you will not be a malcontent, and here's $20 million to help make that medicine go down a little bit. Here's your spoonful of sugar. It's $20 million if we need to move you to right tackle, and know that you'll be okay with it. But you present it publicly, Craig, that he is our left tackle. So therefore, if you don't find one, you aren't then moving him to left tackle and going, well, this wasn't the plan. We're sort of scrambling. You say, no, he's our left tackle.
Right.
And if we find one, we can always play him at right tackle. But if we don't, this was the plan, is that he plays left tackle. Piecing those things together, I feel like that might be more of the plan. And therefore, Donovan Smith may have more of a chance to start. And I'll throw in Wanya Morris, Craig. Is there a chance that they draft Wanya Morris with all the traits that they love, the size, the length, the arms that are long, the athleticism, and he did play left tackle in college, that maybe they view him as a developmental guy, that for a year you got a veteran placeholder, and Wanya Morris for a year develops, and you can go into this offseason and say, we think he can play left tackle, or we don't. We got to find somebody else. Is there a chance that that could be the plan as it stands right now?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, Andy Reid subscribes to the best five theory, and if the best five is Donovan Smith and Jawaan Taylor on the field together, absolutely that's what's going to happen. And having that flexibility with Jawaan Taylor definitely helps. We talked about it going into the draft a little bit. If there's a left tackle that's available there, the Chiefs feel confident in and they want to take him early, all that means for Jawaan Taylor is, hey, buddy, you get to keep making the same amount of money that you were making before, and you get to play your most natural position there.
Yep.
Now, that being said, I think that they came out of the draft with a right tackle. Yes, Wanya Morris has played left tackle. He looked so much better playing right tackle, so much more comfortable playing right tackle. Anton Harrison kicked him over to that right tackle mark. Certainly, he could get into a scenario where he could come be the depth left tackle signing, but I mean, it kind of points back to pre-Donovan Smith. Who was your backup left tackle on that scenario? Let's say Jawaan Taylor was left tackle. Who was your backup left tackle? Is it a swing tackle like Prince Tigwanogo? Is it Lucas Niang kicking over from the right side? When all indications is they want to give him just those reps at right side. There's been nobody that has come into this room that you really feel super comfortable lining up and taking left tackle snaps. If you want Jawaan Taylor to be that right tackle of the future and you just want to kick him over there, leave him over there, then in that scenario, Donovan Smith, your left tackle, who's your backup left tackle? Who do you feel comfortable with taking snaps in that scenario? So I'm kind of looking at the whole picture here.
Yeah.
It makes sense to add another left tackle to the room because they didn't really have one before this.
No, I agree with that. And if Donovan Smith's your starting left tackle and Jawan's at the right side and he goes down, I think short-term replacement is Joe Tooney and Allegretti at left guard. I think long-term replacement is then they got to figure it out. And heck, long-term replacement could be Joe Tooney, and then people fill in at different spots. But the future part of this too is like next year, the year after that, the year after that. If the plan was that they did want to move Jawaan Taylor to the left side, and you sign Donovan Smith and you keep Jawaan at the right side, are you then going to move him there next year? Like this, we'll see. There's a lot of questions, and like you say, the best five offensive linemen will play, and come Thursday night opener against Cincinnati or Buffalo or whoever, we'll find out who that is. So.
Yeah, look, just pay attention to rookie training camp. Wherever Wanya Morris is lining up is going to give you some indication of that. If he's lining up on the left side, maybe it is a scenario where he's being groomed for the left tackle in the future.
Does it add any, Craig Stout's our guest, does that add any context to who the Chiefs may have been targeting to trade up to? Brett Veach mentioned 18 to 23, but then he said 24 to 26, 27 was the next grouping to try to trade up for. Is signing Donovan Smith today, is that maybe an indication that they could have been looking at Anton Harrison, who then went to the Jags? Or was it, Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy, Maisie Smith has been talked about, at least from the Cowboys. Does signing Donovan Smith today change your view, and does it make you think that maybe it was Anton Harrison they wanted to go up and get?
I do think that there is a potential that it could have been Anton Harrison, and if it is Anton Harrison, Donovan Smith still makes sense because then you're kicking, Jawaan Taylor over to the right side, and he still makes sense as a depth guy to sign there. So it could have been Anton Harrison. I would be completely on board with them making that move and trading up for that guy. I personally think that it's Nolan Smith because it does seem like Joe Cullen's footprint is all over this draft, both, with Felix Anudike-Uzomah and B.J. Thompson. Nolan Smith was one of Joe Cullen's very favorite guys in this draft. We know this because KCSN got to talk with Joe Cullen at the Combine, and when he was talking about how defensive ends at the Combine and how they performed, and, he said there's just all sorts of these elite athletes, and then he says, take for instance Nolan Smith, and then he rattled off height, weight, his 40 time, his vertical, his explosive testing, his agility, like to the number, knew all of it off the top of his head, was not referencing
ACT score. Here's what he scored in the SAT. You know,
yes, exactly.
Got a B in calculus.
And he works Georgia's pro day as the defensive line coach as well.
Interesting.
It wasn't going to be Jalen Carter because Jalen Carter was going top 10. So who was that really? I think Joe Cullen had a ton of time with Nolan Smith. I think it would have been Nolan Smith just because that seemed to be his guy in that front.
Yeah, I said this on Friday that, you know, the Chiefs didn't end up with Nolan Smith. They still got Felix Anudike-Uzomah, but they essentially traded Nolan Smith for a Lombardi Trophy and FAU. That seems like a pretty good. It's a hell of a trade. Brett Veach just killed that trade, man. FAU and a Lombardi for Nolan Smith. I'll make it every day. Craig, what is your reaction to the? Maybe we'll look overall what you think they came away with, and then maybe hone in on a couple of picks that you like. But the 7 players they bring into the Chiefs. What did you make of how they went about it and who they brought in?
Super athletic. The trend for this draft was let's draft high-end athletes and figure it out. Let's give them to these coaches, help them figure it out. That told me we feel so confident with the foundation of this roster, what we've done the past couple of years in the draft, what we've added in free agency. We feel very comfortable that the floor is high here. And certainly with Patrick Mahomes, it's even higher than that high that you may feel like. Now let's take a swing on some premium positions, some high upside, some high ceiling guys that maybe require a little bit more technique work than the guys that we've drafted lately. Now all of a sudden we're going to stay at these spots. We're going to make moves. We're going to dictate the draft by drafting athletes, because if any one of these guys hits, you're talking about a potential top 10 at their position type player. So I'm very interested to see how, this approach goes forward in this draft. If this is just, hey, this is a terrible draft, the bust rate's going to be pretty high as it stands, even for the quote-unquote safer prospects. Let's take a swing on more high upside guys because, our bust rate's virtually the same as it would be before. So I really like the approach. I really like building off of that. Now it's up to the coaches.
Yeah, the RAS score, which we talk about, relative athletic score. Green is good / elite, and Felix, Rashee Rice, Wanya Morris, Shamari Connor, B.J. Thompson, all grading in the green. The one that did not was Keondre Coburn, and you don't need him to be overly crazy athletic. You need him to be stout and take up a couple blockers.
He was still a 5.3, though.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
He was still pretty athletic.
That's right. He was still a good. He was still an okay, just not great / elite in the RAS scores, which is what they went up and got. Do you have a favorite pick of the 7? Maybe based on the value, the round they got him, or just fit? Do you have a favorite pick of the 7?
I mean, it's Coburn for me. I would have taken Coburn in the 3rd round. I was clamoring for him in the 3rd round. I love Keondre Coburn. Got to talk to him at the Shrine game. Just an awesome dude. Love the motor. Love what he brings to the table, not just from the run game. He's a great 2-gapper, but really good 1-gapper as well. Gains penetration pretty quickly. He's really tough to down block, and for a guy that's 330 pounds, that's tough to find. You're not going to see him as just, hey, let's put a rock in the middle of the field and hopefully it absorbs blockers. He's a handful. And so when there was that run on nose tackles in round 3, I was just sitting there going, hey, Chiefs need one of these guys. I would really appreciate it if they went ahead and added Coburn, because I viewed him in that same tier as the rest of the guys that went right before him. 3 rounds later, they're able to get him. So that's by far my favorite pick. Value-wise, how he fits in the defense, I think it's perfect.
Visiting with Craig Stout. They draft Felix in the 1st round. You at kcsn.substack.com did the film review for KCSN on Felix Anudike-Uzomah. What'd you come away with? Where are you at with this draft, the fit, and your excitement level after watching the film and breaking it down more in depth, knowing this is the guy they drafted, not this is one of 50 people they may draft?
I absolutely love what he brings to the table. Burst, energy, motor, high football character, and most importantly, flexibility and bend. This guy is turning a corner at 7.5 to 8 yards. That's not something that the Chiefs have had on their roster under Steve Spagnuolo. A guy that can truly bend the edge and has the burst to test an offensive tackle. When you watch the film, there's so much about K-State's scheme. They play that 3-3-5 with these incredibly wide splits. And then if you watch them even further against Oklahoma, they're even wider. But he's aligned as a 5 technique. He's not outside of the tackle. He is head up with the tackle or inside in a 4-eye alignment. And he's still beating guys around the outside. Now you're going to put him a little further outside. You're going to put a 3 technique inside of him at the very least, because K-State had a 0 technique, so the guard could just ignore the nose tackle on passing downs and just head hunt for Felix. So he had no inside moves that he could go to because there's somebody there. You've got stuff on the inside there. I think the potential is there. Everything is so untapped. And on top of that, I don't really like talking about negatives for draft prospects, but I did with Felix because I think it's so important with it. He struggles to use his hands. He does not use them routinely. So, and that causes him to kind of lose balance a little bit. That is so easily fixable. And you're giving him to Joe Cullen, who has just done wonders with this room already in 1 year. I think the moment that he puts his hands together, because he does it for a few reps, they are outstanding. It's round 1 level tape. The moment that he puts his hands into things, and the fact that he has that production and he wins the way that he does in that alignment at K-State is a testament to the player and the truly special nature of the player that it is, because once all these things come into fruition and all of this comes together and coalesces, it's going to be potentially a really elite pass rusher. That's how high his ceiling is once they get some of these other things in place.
Yeah, and when you get him with Joe Cullen. That's exciting to see. If you're talking about a couple of things here and there, you're talking about one of the best in the NFL, a defensive line coach. Same thing we kind of talk about with Wanya Morris. You get him with Andy Heck. I mean, that is it's an advantage the Chiefs have that sometimes gets overlooked in the ability for their coaches to develop some players. You know, it's like the opposite of the Royals. They get some guys in that are raw, and then they develop those traits. They turn out to be pretty good. Visiting with Craig Stout, kcsn.substack.com, and the Casey Laboratory podcast. All right, the pick that seems to be the one that's been the biggest conversation and range of emotions is Rashee Rice from SMU. What did you think? I was watching the draft show, and the reaction I had was the same as you guys had. It was like, all right, who's the pick? Wide receiver, Rashee Rice. Okay, all right, okay. Okay. So what do you think now? Marinate on it. You've had a few days and studying those things. What do you think about the pick of Rice in the second round?
Rashee Rice is so fun to watch because his highlights are incredible. He's got a corner draped all over him like a backpack. He's coming down with catches at the catch point, just absolutely dominating guys that maybe are even a little bit bigger than him, that try and out-physical him. You can't. He is so strong at the catch point. He is an elite run blocker. If you don't have your head on the swivel, he is going to put you in the ground. From that regard, as a quarterback, it is really tough to play against this guy because it doesn't matter if you're in good position. It doesn't matter what you're doing in the run game. This guy is going to body you. He is a very frustrating player to play against. And on top of that, he sinks into zones really well. Travis Kelce mentioned it, but it's something you see time and time again. And all of the advanced analytics and everything like that show it too. He is an elite zone receiver. He really does a good job of finding the seams, finding the gaps in the zone, being able to get into open space for all of that. And then with the ball in his hands, his yards after catch potential, he really does. I believe it was Borgonzi that said, he runs like a running back when he's got the ball in his hands. That's absolutely the case. He is a punishing runner with the ball in his hands. Problem is, he can't really separate against man coverage. And that's kind of the biggest knock. That's what you look at there. Those types of guys, there's such a fine line and a slim margin for error with guys like that, and historically in the draft there. DeAndre Hopkins, not a guy that gets a ton of easy separation against guys, but comes down with these big contested catches. T. Higgins, you can look at in that same kind of regard there. But there's plenty of examples, guys like Hakeem Butler, that don't work out because they can't separate. They may have all the athletic tools in the world, but they can't separate there. So that's the really big question there. Can you translate this elite athleticism, this elite explosion, into more separation? Now, I think he's got a higher floor than maybe a Hakeem Butler because his zone awareness is great. His yak ability is really, really good as well. Andy Reid will figure all of that out. Plus, he's playing with Patrick Mahomes. But a player that is a little bit polarizing because he just doesn't really separate, but it hasn't tended to matter because he's so good at the catch point.
Yeah, the separate part, I think, is something that really stands out because he didn't play in the SEC. He played against lesser competition, and the inability to separate sort of stands out. But I will say, though, one of the highlights that people show on all those different jump balls and contested catches and everything, when he gets the ball down the left side and there are two guys on him against Maryland, and he jumps up in between them and snatches the ball from the air. That's first-round pick number 24, Deonte Banks, and fourth-round pick Jacorian Bennett that were to his right and his left that he went up and grabbed the ball against. So that wasn't random cornerback from Tulsa. That was a first rounder and a fourth rounder that he leapt over with both of those. They were double teaming him, and he made that catch. So couldn't gain separation, but he gained 26 yards. So
and those guys are tier one quarterbacks, tier one athletic testers. Some of his other best highlights come against Trey Hodges Tomlinson at TCU.
That's a good point.
Round draft pick, a really good football player. Now Trey is a lot smaller, and Rashee Rice made sure that he let him know it throughout the entire day. But
he did.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah, Banks has some length, certainly, and one of the routes that Rashee Rice ran against Banks, it was pass interference. So I mean, it could have been a better day for Rashee Rice had Banks not held him and pulled him while he broke his route, and he beat Deonte Banks on that play. So certainly something there as well. Craig Stout, kcsn.substack.com, KC Laboratory Podcast. Last one for you, just a guess, and it could be relative to draft position, but who ends up being, if you're projecting, the best player from this draft?
Ooh, man, that's a really tough one because so many of these guys have such high ceilings. I'm a big fan of Wanya Morris. I think that he's got top-end right tackle potential if they choose to make him, a right tackle of the future. Shamari Connor is a super athlete. Like, I could see him filling the L'Jarius Sneed role in the future, and like I already kind of expressed my love for Keandre Coburn there.
Yeah.
But it's Felix. It's King Felix because premium position, he does have that ability. All of the production is happening despite not being in, the best fit for him in a scheme or utilizing the best technique yet. I think he's going to hit that ceiling quickly. I think within his rookie deal, he will have a double-digit sack season. I really, truly do believe that. Now, it might be year 3 or year 4, but I think he's got that potential, and I think he's got the potential to sustain it. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to pop one and then never get back to that mountaintop again. I think he's got the potential to sustain it because the football character, the motor, everything like that is so high. There's just a couple of little things you got to smooth out, and I think he hits that ceiling quick.
Craig Stout, kcsn.substack.com, KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother. We'll talk in a few weeks, and we'll see with mini camps and phase 2 and everything going on if things start to become a little bit clearer in the picture. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. There's Craig Stout, kcsn.substack.com, KC Laboratory Podcast. So if you go there right now, you can see Craig Stout's write-up on Felix Anudike-Uzomah and the film study. Matt Lane put out this morning the film study for Rashee Rice at SMU. Second-round pick that they traded up to a pick number 55, which has been the pick that has garnered the most diverse conversation around him. Felix seems to be universally excited about. He adds that element that the Chiefs don't have. The local kid makes the story even better. Rashee Rice is the one that you trade up for, and maybe there were some other wide receivers there that people felt more strongly about. Certainly I did about Cedric Tillman. But the Chiefs loved Rashee Rice. They liked him. They loved him. They had identified him and worked out with Mahomes and all of that stuff. But Wanya Morris, Shamari Connor, B.J. Thompson, Coburn, Nick Jones, guys that are just like, we'll see. We know what they are. We know what they are. Coburn helping out with Noddy. Connor helping out special teams immediately and then filling in as one of those safety spots. Wanya Morris, depth on the offensive line. Nick Jones, special teamer. And B.J. Thompson, hopefully a better version of Kendo. That, maybe all those traits start to translate in the NFL. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to talk about one of the elements of what the Chiefs did on Friday. And did it change from what Brett Veach typically would do in a draft, and maybe an expectation of Rashee Rice this year? We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com. In the
feel like I have matured in my age over the years to a degree.
Small degree.
Small degree. But here's how I believe I've matured. Is there were times when I would do something just simply to be like, oh, this is I'm going to play this. I'm going to play a joke on this person, and then I'm like, not worth it, and then it just causes them sort of anxiety. So I don't do that really anymore, and I bring that up because Drake goes, hey, are you playing sound this segment? Because I got to go help somebody else out. An earlier me would have been, no, not at all. And then when Drake left the room, like, you know what, Drake, let's hear from, can we play the clip? But I'm not going to do that. That's what I'm saying. I thought about that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that because that's what, 28-year-old Jason would do. But I've grown and there's no reason to do that. Drake actually
that guy
has
really well, though.
Yes, Drake has something to do. He actually has something important. And me being an AH doesn't help him do the. You can go, sir. Please.
Yeah, but you're good, Drake.
You are dismissed. Yes.
Just kidding. I'm 28. Here's Felix and Yudika Uzama.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Brett Veach is on NFL Network right now. He is not. It's
Brett
the Lamar
Veach
Jackson press conference.
Drake. Brett Veach is in studio with us here. He's on this mic. Can you turn on his microphone, please? No, he can't use mine.
See?
You please turn on Brett Veach's microphone.
He's right behind
Drake,
you, Josh.
please.
Drake is right behind you. He's
I know.
staring
Hi,
through
Drake.
you. He's Cyclops. Your head would be sliced in half right now if that was what Drake was, the way that he's staring
Hey,
you
Drake,
down.
may the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
He can't even hear me. Give him those well wishes.
Hey,
after
Drake.
a superhero reference. Hey, live long and prosper. Happy May Day, Drake.
That's me saying, love you, Drake.
Drake, it's funny because Drake hates Star Wars.
Yes. That's
And if he was, if he disagreed, he'd say something about it.
That's true. That is absolutely
No
true.
shot that he's just in a different room right now.
913-912-4810.
Didn't even go to Drake. Just likes the rapper.
Before the rapper was even around.
It's crazy how long he had that long con planned.
It's crazy. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810, the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. Do want to point something out as it relates to the Kansas City Royals, as they will play this afternoon with Jordan Lyles on the mound against Grayson Rodriguez for the Orioles. And my issue on it was yesterday. So my issue yesterday in wondering, okay, what is the lineup going to look like now that Michael Garcia is up? Is it going to be where you see Hunter Dozier and then they mix in Garcia at third, or is it going to be Garcia at third and they mix in Dozier from time to time? Well, Hunter Dozier last played on April 30th. That was Sunday. This is the third game the Royals have played since Hunter Dozier, since Michael Garcia got called up. Garcia's at third today in the lineup, and Hunter Dozier is not in the lineup. This is 3 straight days Hunter Dozier has not been in the lineup. And if he does not take an at-bat today, it would be 3 straight games without even getting an at-bat or appearing in a game. That's a change. There's no other way around that. That is absolutely a change. And if I look at his game log, let's see, he missed 1 game, then missed 1 game, then missed 2 games. So the most he has missed in a row is 2 games. He missed the Friday and Saturday against the Atlanta Braves. And was there something to that? I don't remember. Either way, he was not in the lineup. This is now the longest he's gone without starting for the Royals. All 3 games against the Orioles. Michael Garcia, all 3 of these games, is at third base. The lineup for today is almost identical to yesterday, except that you've got day game after a night game. So Freddie Fermin is in for Salvador Perez. So Salvi's going to be DHing. So the lineup is essentially taking Edward Olivares out, but Fermin is in. So everybody moves up, and he just switches Massey and Michael Garcia in the lineup. But it's still Witt, Pasquantino, Perez, Melendez, and then Prado when you take Edward Olivares out. After that, Garcia, Massey, Isbell, Fermin, Lyles on the mound. It isn't their best defensive lineup like it was last night, because surprising when they threw that defensive lineup out there, looked pretty good. Look, now I guess defensive lineup, Jackie Bradley Jr. would have been in the game if we're talking about really best. That is true. Infield, I guess.
Yes.
Infield without Nicky Lopez available.
Right.
Infield with Prado at first, Garcia at third, Witt and Massey up the middle. You saw some plays being made.
You did.
Nick Prado was a magician at first.
Vacuum.
He is brilliant at first base. Not just good, he's a freaking artist at first base. He's in left field today because Salvi's in the lineup, but not catching, so Salvi's DHing. Pasquantino's playing first, which he's played just fine.
Reasonable.
And I am perfectly fine if we watch this Royals team and Prado is the everyday first baseman and Pasquantino is the DH and Salvi's your catcher, and when Salvi gets a day off behind the plate, day game after a night game, and he DHs, yeah, Pasquantino can play first. He's played first before. You can still put Prado, Pasquantino, and Perez in the lineup together when you do that. Because right now you don't have Franmil Reyes, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Your DH is in Omaha right now, and you don't need to DH Hunter Dozier. So I'm excited. There's a little bit of like, okay, all right, I am enthused, and the letdown did not happen where it was expected. Yeah. I really expected Dozier to be in the lineup last night, and I am floored that he's not in the lineup today. Floored. Seriously, like absolutely shocked. I would have bet a lot of money that Dozier was at third base today. But when Garcia goes 1 for 3 last night, I think he went with a sacrifice fly and a great at bat.
Yep.
2 for 4 the night before, it would be absurd to then sit him. But absurdity has not stopped the Royals from doing said things in the past. So that's where I get a little more excited about a change here, a change there. Just as like, I wouldn't have taken Greinke out of the game after 5 innings and with, 40 some odd pitches. And neither would Matheny or anybody else that the Royals have had. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, they're looking at it, following it, studying it, keeping him healthy and fresh the whole year. It worked out. Yep. If it wouldn't have worked out, there'd be a different conversation. And that's results-oriented. That sucks, but it's also baseball. Baseball is a tough one to where you go, this was the right move, and it didn't work out. This was the wrong move, and it did work out. Well, prove that it was the wrong move because it did work out. It was the right move to take Greinke out of the game because the bullpen came in and did their job. It's the wrong move to take Greinke out of the game because the bullpen gave up 5 runs. And now you don't know what Greinke was going to do. But Garcia, to me, and keeping Prado in the lineup, because he could take Prado out of the lineup and put Edward Olivares in left field if he wanted to. But Olivares is out of the lineup today, and Prado's in left field.
Taylor Clark, Amir Garrett, and Josh Staumont threw for 8 more pitches than Zach Greinke in 3 innings, and he threw in 5.
Which is
that's crazy.
Which is great. I mean, it's just it's phenomenal. And only 1 walk all day. The Royals walked 1 guy all night. So
sub 2-hour game.
Yeah.
First one of the year, right? 159, I think
like
they said.
Yeah, 159. Yeah, which is pretty cool. If you're going to lose fast. If you're going to win, you can take your time, but it's also kind of fun when you just do it crisp and clean like that.
Win with 6 runs, I'm good. That's fine. I'm happy.
No problem going about the rest of my night at 8:40.
Yep.
No problem, because typically during Royals season in a home game, it's about 10:20 when the game is over. That's it's a pretty big stark contrast.
I think they were about ready to start the 6th inning when the second hour started. I mean, the first 5 innings just flew.
Greinke was crisp, and the Royals scored runs or didn't score, and then the runs came quickly. Double, single. Hey, you got some runs. Fly out, ground out, and this inning's over. Single, double, home run. Hey, you got a few more runs. And then ground out. They did it quick.
And only 1 intra-inning pitching change for both teams combined, right?
That's a good point.
Because it's full innings for the entire Royals pen, and then the Orioles just had that change in the 7th.
Yeah. Other good news was that Salvi returned behind the plate last night, and so clearly all good with Salvi. 913-912-4810. I brought up. We'll talk with Ty Dillon coming up at noon. Driver of the number 77 car with the Advent Health 400 coming up on Sunday at 2:00 out at Kansas Speedway. Talking with Craig Stout had mentioned that, did Brett Veach break from character to a degree in the draft that we haven't even got to, in talking about like Rashee Rice and Wanya Morris. And some of it is maybe concluded and drawn from the phone call with Brett Veach and Rashee Rice, and how much is that reality, truth, or you're gassing up that particular player, you're excited, things like that. When he talked to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Clyde, I texted Pat and I said, who do you want us to go get? And he said, CEH, Clyde or whatever. You're talking to him. How true, things like that. But in the phone call video that the Chiefs put out between Brett Veach, Clark Hunt, Andy Reid, and Rashee Rice, when Brett Veach said to Rashee Rice, hey, Clark Hunt, our owner, asked me, what are we going to accomplish today? What's the plan? And he said, I told him my plan is to draft an SMU wide receiver. Now, again, that could be just gassing up, Rashee Rice. But it kind of feels like that was the plan, right? They traded up. They may not have needed to trade up. But this is where it's a little different, or maybe even really different, because he's talked about the flexibility being fluid. McDuffie wasn't the plan, but when he was there, they changed the plan because that's not something that you could foresee. Let's go ahead and do this, and we can adjust everything after that. This seemed to be Friday morning, they woke up and said, Rashee Rice will be a Chief. Unless something happens in the first, 18 picks and they get to 50, somehow he's gone, well, nothing we could do. But Rashee Rice is going to be a Chief. And if that means we trade up to get him, that means we trade up to get him. And I don't know how often he's gone into a day or a draft or a particular player and said, he is going to be ours. Willie Gay a couple of years ago, because Andy Reid said he was proud of Brett Veach, that Brett Veach waited and waited and waited, and every pick that came off the board in the second round, Brett Veach wanted to trade up and get Willie Gay. And Andy Reid was like, we had to just calm him down and say, look, we need the picks. We need the depth. If he's here, he's here. If not, we'll adjust. And he was there. And it was like, okay, see, you didn't have to use any draft picks. That could have been the case this year. They could have taken Rashee Rice at 63. He might have gone at 60 or 61 or 62. But does it feel like there's a little bit of a difference here when if there is something to conclude really from Brett Veach saying, I told Clark Hunt, we're drafting an SMU wide receiver today. That's the plan. And sort of identifying and saying, we will draft this guy. And we will dictate that by being able to move around the board because we've got 9 more selections.
I definitely think it's different in juxtaposition with Sky Moore in particular, right? Because his was the inverse of that. It was we got a pocket of receivers, and either we don't think anyone else is going to take our guy, being Sky, or we'll move back and we'll just take whoever ends up there. And so, yeah, if that was, not quite Rashee no matter what, but if that really was the plan in day 2, and they had a pretty good idea of how the board was going to fall, and I don't know how they felt about a Jonathan Mingo, but I think he was the only receiver. He and Jaden Reed, both went in front of where
they might
Rice
have.
went.
Reed might have gone, and they might have said, "Okay, here's the second run on receiver."
Yeah, we
got to get up there second, because if Reed went, well, anybody can go now,
right?
We're not risking because not many people had Reed going before Hyatt and Mingo,
Tillman
and Rashee Rice and Josh Downs.
You couldn't trust the consensus at that point.
Exactly
you could for the top 4 guys. That consensus became relatively clear, I think.
Absolutely right. The second Mingo went 5th and Reed went 6th, it's like, okay, anything is on the board now.
Yeah, so now we start sniffing around for a trade partner and all of that. And so it's interesting to think there's a chance that, again, that there was like that plan on the wall entering day 2, but it's also a very dangerous thing because it puts a lot of eggs in your evaluation basket and a lot fewer eggs in your draft more guys and give more chances to developmental players basket, if you will. That's a bit of a wordy name for a basket, but that's sort of the choice you have to make when you go up and get a guy. And I am really fascinated to see how they use Rashee Rice, especially early on, just because I want to see if he can get open against man at the pro level. Like, that's a very basic question, but it's a real one.
He's good against zone. He's got spatial awareness. He averaged almost 4 yards per route run against zone. Not 4 yards per reception. 4 yards per route run. He runs a route. He's averaging 4 yards per catch. 4 yards per route run when he just runs it against zone. He's good. He can find the space. He can do some of those things. And I do think there might have been a decent amount of zone that was played against SMU when they're running fast and going. That's maybe like, here's what we're playing. It is sort of surprising that there wouldn't have been more double teams on Rashee Rice. There were a lot of stacked safeties over the top, even if it might have been in zone, but there were a lot of stack safeties over the top because he was kind of their offense, was Rashee Rice. I mean, that was kind of it. They had some other receivers, but they were just okay. But he's good against zone. But what do you do against man coverage in the NFL when you can't gain the separation, you don't have that extra burst at the top of your route, and you don't have as much dynamism to how you are running your routes? Maybe it's the foot injury. Maybe it's the turf toe that he had most all of last year that makes it look pretty generic at the top of his routes when he's breaking off or breaking away, that he couldn't really plant and explode the way that you would like him to. But it was pretty generic in his route running. Whereas Addison, Zay Flowers, there were small little things in there that like, ooh, that was brilliant. Ooh, that small hip turn created that 8 yards of separation because of what that person did with the safety. There really wasn't a whole lot of that with Rashee Rice's game. That can be taught. You can hone in on those things. And again, maybe it had to do with the foot injury. But there are some clear parts of his game that this could be a miss. And there's a lot of eggs in this basket when you trade up to get them. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Ty Dillon coming up at noon. Advent Health Championship NASCAR Cup Series 400 on Sunday at 2 o'clock out at Kansas Speedway. And a fun course. I know that drivers have liked Kansas because, I mean, there are tracks, I should say. There are tracks where you don't really have a choice of what line you're going to run on. It's sort of just there. Kansas, I mean, you can go 4 wide. You can go up high, you can go low, you can go in the middle, sort of like what line you choose that you feel like is the one that gives you the best chance of winning. And that's, to me, one of the more enjoyable parts about this track is there's a lot of different strategy that goes into it. A lot of strategy. Like some tracks are just like, well, you better have the best pit crew. That's the only way you're going to win or finish in the top 5. If your pit crew sucks, you're done. So there's going to be a lot of pitting. There's going to be a lot of stops. There's a lot of tires that are going to be blown and worn, but you better have that amazing pit crew. Kansas got a lot of options, man. And so we'll talk with Ty Dillon about that. And, of course, the Travis and Jason Kelsey of NASCAR with Ty Dillon and Austin Dillon being the grandsons of Richard Childress and RCR, and that sibling rivalry that's there that Ty Dillon has not driven for RCR in like 5 years. Austin Dillon is the number 3 car. The main RCR car is Austin Dillon, Ty's older brother. It's like, Marsha.
This is the heat.
Austin,
this is the rivalry we need.
Austin. So I definitely want to pick his brain with that as the Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey type deal. And when they're watching the Super Bowl, does that come up? Like, do they talk about does their mom show up at a track with a 3 and 77 shirt,
See,
like
that's
split
good.
down the middle? You know, what do they do?
She just wears
there?
an 80. Just adds it up.
Does she root more for Austin because her husband and son is a part of RCR?
Wow.
And her youngest son is a part of I can't remember who he's
Spire?
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say Spire, but I'm like, I feel like I've got the Derby on my mind and Twin Spires, so I don't want to. I'll know that before we talk to him. But yeah, Spire Motorsports is what he races with and drives for. But that sort of aspect that's there in that sibling rivalry between the two, and also like hey, why can't you be a part of the Life in the Fast Lane TV show with Austin Dillon last year? Why don't you get a little cameo in that?
See the Travis or the Jason? This is the question.
Yeah, like he's younger. He's 2 years younger, so I think I think he's bigger, like taller. So I think he actually would be the Travis in this.
There's no wrong answers here.
Yeah. The only mention I believe of like Ty or talk in that series was when Ty Dillon ran into the back of Austin Dillon on pit road. And they were like, what the hell is he do? What is Ty doing? What the hell, man? It's like, oh, well, at least his brother's part of the show. Thank his brother's part of the show. And how about Garrick Dieter and Anthony Sherman, friends with, the tire carrier of Austin Dillon's team and very famous pit crew member with that show that came out last year. Paul Swan. So that's pretty cool. Some tie-ins there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will talk with Ty Dillon. We'll give away some tickets as well.
I love my collection of autographed jerseys, and there's only one place I trust to frame them perfectly. Art and Frame Warehouse at 92nd and Metcalf. Art and Frame has the largest selection of custom framing options, the best customer service, and the best prices in Kansas City. Plus, mention my name, and you'll save even more. Locally owned and operated for almost 20 years, Art and Frame Warehouse specializes in jerseys and sports memorabilia, and all their work comes with a lifetime guarantee. They even delivered and installed all of my jerseys. Visit framekc.com for more information. Art and Frame Warehouse, gallery quality at warehouse prices.
Do you struggle with pain, anxiety, sleep, or lack of energy? It's time for you to talk with CBD American Shaman.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We head up until 2 o'clock. A little sports or leisure coming up later on in the show. Right now, let's talk some Kansas Speedway. Let's talk some NASCAR coming up this weekend. Joined by Ty Dillon, number 77 car racing this weekend. Ty, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited to get out to Kansas this weekend and have a little fun.
What's the schedule like for you then? So today being Thursday, what's it look like the next couple of days for you getting out here and qualifying and everything?
Yeah, I've got some work in the simulator today at the GM campus, kind of doing some final tuning before we head out there. Simulators have become such a huge part of our race prep week with no practice, so we'll get our final touches done there. Other than that, just kind of getting some things done around the house, spend some time with the family, and get ready to saddle up and leave out to go race.
The simulator is amazing to see, what NASCAR has become. How much has that impacted and goes into each and every week as opposed to being out there running the track, to be able to get that on the simulator is the advancement in technology.
Yeah, it's certainly a major part of everyone's week. Probably one of the most important times of your week is just how intentional you are about your simulator work and answering questions about what you need in your car, getting to the next racetrack. And, there's a lot of things that we gain and grow from by being in those sessions. And we can kind of science out a lot of things other than just being on the actual track. So it's more just having yourself totally prepared for that 15 minutes that you get for practice each week. To try to make the most efficient changes in that time slot. So you're kind of pre-working every change that you want to hone in on just a few things that you can get to in practice to hopefully get your weekend started in the right direction.
Visiting with Ty Dillon, he'll be racing this weekend in Kansas. And, you have a really cool, interesting, unique story to your racing career, grandfather being Richard Childress and RCR Racing and everything, and you and Austin growing up in the sport. Was there ever a question with what you or your brother, what your life and career was going to be about?
I think for me personally, I thought there for a long time. I'm really into football. I loved playing football as a teenager and was pretty good in my day. Like everyone has their glory days story of football, but everyone kind of outgrew me by the time I got to high school and late middle school. So I picked up the helmet, the steering wheel, and luckily it was in the family, and I had opportunities to go out and try it. And I think just, whatever is in the blood that is ran through my family definitely was ignited on that time, and just been in love with the sport of NASCAR and racing ever since, and have been fortunate enough to have some really great success and find myself at the Cup Series, still chasing my ultimate dream of winning races and champions.
I think a lot of us have the story of being dreams of different sports and size of other people pass us by. I think there are a lot of us that have that. So with you and your brother going up sort of in that, does it mean more to you if you finish ahead of Austin? Is there that sort of maybe added in element of competitiveness in the family?
Oh, certainly. We're siblings, so I don't know what it'd be like not to compete in every single thing we do. I know a lot of people probably feel the same way, but as we've grown older, we've certainly matured about the competitiveness. We both want to see each other succeed, but it always feels good to beat your brother in anything that you do. So we're both very aware of where we're finishing week in and week out.
That's awesome. Was it always that? I mean, you mentioned that's just the siblings that are there, but was it like a race and a competition for everything? Like, were you guys trying to be the first to finish dinner or homework? Was it always sort of that little sort of ingrained sort of rivalry and wanting to beat the other, and no matter what you guys did growing up?
Oh, certainly. It was a race to everything. Even after dinner, getting to the car, who could get to the car first, we would race. So we've been competitive and kind of pinned against each other for a long time. But luckily, we've kind of grown to a little bit more above the competing against each other, want to see each other one win and one not, to just hoping that both are successful in everything that we do.
Did it ever go a little bit too far? You know, we've got Travis Kelce here in Kansas City, and he's got the podcast with the brother Jason, and they talked about Jason powerbombing Travis one day and putting a hole in the floor in the hardwood because they were fighting. Did it ever go too far with you and Austin, and any stories like that to where you're like, all right, that was that's one we can look back and laugh on now?
Oh, yeah, certainly. There's been times post-race where we were younger and I may have moved him out of the way and beat him to finish a race, and he wasn't very happy about that. And then just, normal brother things. The thing is I'm the younger brother by 2 years, but I've also got him covered by about 2.5, 3 inches. So, size and age kind of matched up there for a while, and we had some pretty good bouts there that would have been pretty good UFC title fights. But, it's all in when you have siblings growing up, you kind of push each other to be the best. And I know if Austin wasn't there pushing me, I wouldn't have made it to where I am, same as him.
That's awesome. Jason Kelce is older than Travis by a couple of years, but Travis has a few inches on him in height, so it's maybe sort of the same thing. When you see that going on in like the Super Bowl and everything, do you guys look at each other and like, okay, we kind of have that at NASCAR, and as your careers continue to progress and success is there, that you guys can sort of have that, and the parents and your mom can be wearing like shirts that are split down the middle of a 3 and 77?
Yeah, certainly. I think sometimes you forget how special it is that both of us are, the top level athletes in the sport that we're in, and just how much of an accomplishment that is, because we're both so competitive, and to us, most of the time it doesn't matter unless we're winning. But actually seeing the Kelce brothers in the Super Bowl and the way that their parents and their mom was kind of honored throughout that was really cool, and it makes you think a lot of your family. And so it was a really cool moment. Austin and I both, we've both been a part of probably 8 or 9 Daytona 500s together, which is our Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And our sport's different. There's only one winner, and there's 46 losers or 43 losers. So it makes it a little bit harder to have that same perspective. But we have gotten to perform in the highest level of the highest game of our sport many times together, and it certainly is something to be proud of for our family. And I know as we grow older, Austin and I both will really appreciate what we've been able to accomplish.
I know we're talking about the Advent Health 400 this weekend, but what will next weekend mean for you in returning to RCR in a limited capacity with 5 of those races with Darlington next weekend? What's that going to be like to be back in that sort of family business to a degree?
Yeah, that's special. It's been 5 years since I've driven a race car for my family and my grandfather. It's kind of, it's your old home, and, that's where your family is. But when you don't race there, it's kind of a different situation. And I'm glad to be back. I had success in that number 3 in the Xfinity Series and winning my race there in Indianapolis, and won quite a few races in that number in the Truck Series. So just going back, being a part of a lot of people who are still at the company that were a part of my career in my early days, and just kind of running it all back with the family and looking to, honestly just looking to go win a race. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm most excited about.
Ty Dillon is our guest, number 77 car, the Advent Health 400 coming up this weekend at Kansas Speedway, 2 o'clock on Sunday. Is, we talk about the, sibling rivalry and everything. Is there a Ty Dillon Life in the Fast Lane coming here soon?
I don't know. I have not been approached to do that. It'd probably be a little bit different.
Maybe? Really? You don't have a Paul Swan in your life to be crazy?
I do not. My brother and I are different personalities, but I think that show was pretty fun for everybody and good for the sport, and it was pretty cool. It wouldn't be the same. It'd be interesting, but interesting for different reasons. I think my life's quite a bit different. I have 2 kids that are a little bit older, and but we have a very full and very fun life as it is too.
Last couple for you. Ty Dillon's our guest. What challenges does Kansas bring to the driver and the crew in the race this weekend?
Kansas has quickly become one of my favorite racetracks to go to as the track has aged and the surface has just gotten a little bit more worn out. You have wall to all the way to the bottom of the track possibilities to race. And as a driver, that always makes you excited because it puts it in your hands as far as being able to manipulate the line that you run to be able to help your handling in your race car. So I always love it. It's a challenge just being able to get the initial fast speed, but I feel like as a driver you feel comfortable of your ability to make the long run speed.
Do you go in with this is going to be my line for this particular race? Do you feel it out as the race sort of goes along? Because you're talking about 4 wide at times, and you can sort of choose the line that you want to run. Do you do that beforehand, maybe in the simulator, or does that sort of come together in the first few laps to sort of feel out the field?
Yeah, I think you try to balance your car around one line, knowing that you have options off of that. You don't want to get stuck to thinking that that's the only line you're going to run the whole race. You want to be able to make sure your car is able to move around because, in our sport, we're not just it's not slot cars. So you got cars you got to pass. There's people in the way. So you got to be able to make sure you have some maneuverability built into your race car to go out and drive it as hard as you can and do what you need to do.
Ty Dillon is our guest, number 77 car, the Advent Health 400. Ty, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Best of luck this weekend. And here's to you finishing first and Austin finishing second.
There you go. That sounds good. Thank you.
All right, there's Ty Dillon. He is racing the number 77 car for Spire Motorsports coming up this weekend. And then next weekend, as we talked about, he returns to RCR in a limited capacity with the Xfinity Series that he can run 5 races there starting in Darlington next week. So thank you to Ty Dillon joining us here in the Zone. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. And how about this? With the Advent Health 400 coming up this weekend, let's give away 2 pair of tickets to that. 913-381-810, 913-381-810, 2 o'clock on Sunday, Advent Health 400. We'll give away 2 pair of tickets, 913-381-810, caller 8, caller 10. You know what? Let's do this. Let's do caller 3 and caller 7. Not 77, Drake, because Ty Dillon runs the 77. Not 77, but caller 7 for Ty Dillon, caller 3 for Austin Dillon. 913-381-810. We continue with more Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Time for a Kentucky Derby flashback brought to you by Blue Note Bourbon.
In 1997, Bob Baffert still had a bad taste in his mouth after losing by the slimmest of margins 1 year earlier. Silver Charm had lost in the Santa Anita Derby to Freehouse in his final prep. Those two, along with Captain Badger, would hook up in the stretch.
Gets the lead. Silver Charm on the outside, open at the rail, back to third, and here comes the captain, and down the stretch they come. Silver Charm to the front, on the inside, Freehouse on the outside, Captain Badger. It's Captain Badger on the outside, Silver Charm at the rail, those two to the wire. Here's the finish. Silver Charm by a neck with Gary Stevens. Captain Badger on the outside, second by 5, and Freehouse was third. What an exciting Kentucky.
Silver Charm made Bob and Beverly Lewis Derby winning owners. And for Gary Stevens, it was his second Derby win. It came the same weekend he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Silver Charm paid $10 for the win.
Kentucky Derby coverage is brought to you by Blue Note Bourbon, ranked among the very best whiskeys worthy of your attention by Whiskey Advocate. Pick up some Blue Note Bourbon for all your occasions.
Spring. The sounds of birds in the trees, smell of fresh cut grass, new decks being built, and new deck builders from all over town heading for the deck supply. Experts say that when you add a deck to your home, you will recoup at a higher percentage of your investment at sale time than any other improvement you can make. More than a kitchen, even more than a bathroom. So do-it-yourselfers and professionals alike, head for the Deck Supply. Come pick out the look you want from one of the showrooms in Overland Park, Lee Summit, North Kansas City, or the newest location in St. Joe. The Deck Supply, for everything you need to build a better deck.
The Linda Hall Library presents Beyond the Box Score, baseball in the analytics era. Moderator Brian Kenny from the MLB Network and a panel of experts will explore the role of big data in baseball.
Thank you to Ty Dillon joining us as Advent Health 400 coming up on Sunday, 2 o'clock out at Kansas Speedway. And I just forgot the new space there at Kansas Speedway that has the pickleball courts. Is it the
Highline District?
Highline. I was going to say
There you go.
Healthline, but I'm like, no, I don't think it's a phone
That wasn't
number.
it.
I don't
No,
think it's just
right.
people line up. It's like, yeah, can I get a hold? I can't get a hold of this person, so can I line up and just talk to somebody here? The Highline District that's out there, Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon will be there Sunday.
Oh, awesome.
Not during the race because that would be odd.
Yeah.
But before the race, they'll be there signing autographs and meeting people. I haven't seen a time on that. I'm guessing that may float depending on their schedules that morning, if anything's going on in the garage or something like that. But they're both expected to make an appearance there. Just
crack your elbow on
it
the
was like one of those
desk,
funny
or-
bones. You know how you
Yeah.
put your elbow down and it hits like the vein and the whole arm and like the pinky goes numb?
Yeah.
I just did that.
Why did you do that?
I wish I didn't.
Yeah, that was really silly of you.
Take it over again, I would choose to not do said thing.
That's why I keep my elbows firmly planted on the cushioned parts of the
That's right.
armrest. I don't take no risks.
Keep elbows off the table.
Have you considered wearing elbow pads while you do radio?
I might now. Oh man, that's it's just a weird feeling. Right?
Yeah,
It doesn't
it's
hurt.
bizarre.
It's just like trying to get that feeling back in your hands. Get that blood going down there. There we go. Got it. That did not happen again.
Do it again.
So yes, the Highline. You don't get that reference.
No, I didn't.
But I have a habit, for those that may be watching on TV, that anytime during a NASCAR race when they say, and they're racing up on the high side, I have to do that with my chin.
Like
Drake,
Davy Jones fingers? Why
Drake,
is that?
do you know, hand on the chin and waving your fingers like it's jazz hands, like, oh yeah, like you would do for somebody at the free
Nah,
throw?
I don't know.
It's the Little Rascals high sign. It's the high sign, and when I hear high side,
Wow, it's just a
so
little tick.
weird. It's
Just-
so weird. I almost like,
Since we're in a predominant
Racing
audio
on the high
medium,
side.
you got to just start doing it onto the microphone and
It's
just
weird. Look, there's some things about me that I know are very, very weird.
That's true for everybody,
and I come by it honestly. 'Cause
some of us more so than others.
My whole family is that way. Really, it wasn't until I had kids. Then I turned really weird. It's all the dad stuff now. 913-912-4810 is the text line. We'll play some sports or leisure at 1 o'clock. We'll give away Johnny's Tavern gift cards, $25 at Johnny's Tavern. We will give away for some sports or leisure. Just as a warning, it will be NFL draft heavy.
Good. Didn't do it last
Surprising.
week. Yeah.
Surprising it would be NFL draft heavy because Drake did not allow us to do any of sports or leisure last Thursday. Drake is the reason we can't have nice things.
Yeah,
We can't have
that's
nice
definitely
things.
how that went.
We've wanted to come in here and throw like champagne parties where we just spray champagne around.
Yep.
We wanted to have pillow fights where there might be like feathers everywhere.
Be a blast.
We wanted to do water balloon fights in here, and he says no to all of it. It's like, oh, we just want to have so much fun.
What about like a kiddie pool in here for the Twitch viewers? We can
That'd
just
be awesome.
we can just sit in the pool and do the show that way.
Is it safe to sit in the pool while being around all the technology here?
You won't make an exception.
Touche, sir. Touche.
I think Drake, but yeah, it's a great idea. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and plug in and hand you this toaster, and then we'll get the segment going.
All right. Since Drake is back there, and I'm not surprising him with playing any sound, can we play this clip from Brett Veach? It is from Monday, but it has to do with what we were talking about with Rashee Rice in did the Chiefs change their stripes in a certain way by identifying on Friday and saying, we're going to draft Rashee Rice. If he's going to be, sorry, that kind of felt like it was a lead-in. Sorry. If he's there, but if we feel like there's a chance we're not going to get him, we will trade up. The plan is to draft an SMU wide receiver. Maybe he was embellishing, right, when he told Rashee Rice on the phone that, Clark Hunt asked me what the plan is. I told him the plan is to draft an SMU wide receiver. What do you think about that? But here's Brett Veach weighing in on the trade up or stay at the current pick philosophy that he has.
When we get aggressive, it's because, we spend all the time watching these guys and we feel like the drop off or potentially they're not. I mean, he could be the last guy that we value in regards to a guy coming in and helping us year one. So when you identify that, you got to trust your board and trust all the work that you put in. It's kind of, blending the two concepts. On one end, yeah, you have to there is that lotto aspect where you have to throw a bunch of numbers at this. But at the same time, I mean, we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't set the board, spend all that time doing the work. And if we believe in a guy, you can't risk losing those guys. And I mean, there was a handful of guys this past weekend that we were trying to trade up for and didn't work out, and they went. And that's the way this works. So you got to believe in your board, you got to believe in your scouts, but you have to do so. Can't be reckless. You got to take calculated risks. And I think you saw that. We took a stab to get up there in round one. We couldn't, and so we played it smart. But then when we had windows of guys that we just didn't think there were like components of or similar value, we went ahead and made those moves. And then when we were sitting there in a position where we felt the competition or the value, or I should say the skill set, was all similar, we traded out of that one pick and we got a future pick from Dallas. So I think it's just blending the volume concept and also the belief in the board and just going and getting guys you like.
You do wonder if, and the fantasy football and fantasy sport players among us, especially in rotisserie leagues, where you can really go into a draft and say, I'm going to get this guy. Mm-hmm. You can pay a boatload of money for him, but I'm going to draft this guy. I mean, we talked about a couple of years ago when Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a rookie, and how much money in my particular fantasy football draft and dynasty league, and it's an auction league, and how much money was spent on Clyde in that draft, because it was like, I'm getting the Chiefs running back because he could be the number one fantasy running back in the league and he was going to get receptions, and it was like, okay, I can't get McCaffrey, he's a keeper. Can I get the next McCaffrey and Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Heck yeah. So it was just absurd, the amount of money he went for, versus then this last year it was like $12. It was like $60, right, out of a $150 budget. Like, it's just absurd. You can go into that and say, I want this guy no matter what. I'm going to draft this guy. Like in baseball, my fantasy baseball draft and auction value, I'm rebuilding. So I went in and said, I'm paying for Jose Altuve because at the trade deadline, he's going to be cheaper. I can trade him and move him.
Wow,
smart. For keepers, or because he's cheaper, then I can go ahead and keep him myself because I'm not trying to win this year. So if he's out till July, then I don't need the points from April, May, and June. I'm building for the future. So I'll pay $18 for somebody that should be $35.
Do you have a better or worse winning percentage in the real life Royals right now?
Well, it's not head-to-head. It's just...
I know, so we're trying to go, okay, so you're not getting any stats at all. You're not getting any record.
My standing is roughly the same as the Royals standing.
Okay.
Out of all the teams.
You're
yes.
purposefully tanking, though.
But I am absolutely looking at the next couple of years.
Sorry, I don't want to use the T word. Yeah. I don't want to get the rest of your managers mad at you.
No, they know. They knew my strategy. Like, hey, I left the draft and said, here's a for sale sign.
Hey, why did you spend so much money on Jackson Kowar?
It's weird because people named Jackson. Just bring them on, man. Jackson Storm, Jackson Kowar. So I bring that up as a total aside and geekdom that's out there. I do think in the NFL and baseball, you can fall in love with somebody. Mm-hmm. Baseball, you can't trade up or anything. But in the NFL and NBA, you can fall in love with somebody and say, we got to have this guy. When Brett Veach starts it by saying, look, we've been watching these guys for so long. We've been watching all the work we've put in. You kind of feel like you owe it to we put in so much work on this guy. I swear if he goes 61, we've been watching him. We put all the work in. We've invested all this time. This is a guy we really, really like. He mentioned, well, you can't be reckless. No, we'll throw a fourth rounder in there. We got a couple of fourths. We'll throw one of our fourths and we'll move up 8 spots to get this guy. And we'll get like a 6th rounder back or whatever it was that they ended up getting back. So we move back a couple of rounds, but we move up 8 spots and we get somebody that we really, really like, that we feel like the skill sets drop off at that time. But just that philosophy of it, and to me specifically how it relates to Rashee Rice, because I do think there might have been an element of, there's a particular skill set he offers, but we really want this guy. So we're willing to go and pay the premium to go up and get him because we've kind of become enamored with him, and you kind of fall in love with somebody. And at that point, you trust your board, you trust the work you put in, all of those things. But I do think there are times where you can get emotionally attached to a player. And I wonder if that happened with Rashee Rice.
It's fascinating because you can see, I think almost everyone at this point should be able to see how either extreme in terms of what your mindset is and how you view the draft, either extreme will eventually get you fired. Like there is some value to trying to acquire as many picks as you can to give yourself as many shots as possible, to being smart and moving back and amassing more resources. But if all you do is trade back and then take the biggest slider of the day, well, eventually your team's going to wonder why you haven't found a star in 6 years, because all you're doing is, kind of settling for these guys in these groups. You'll find some that you hit on, but it's, one real extreme sign. And the other side would be, frankly, what the Texans did. I understand the love for Will Anderson, but I don't know that trading a future first as a team that is actively rebuilding is a great strategy. They trust their scouting. They trust their board, their evaluation. And they spent a lot of money to make that a reality.
For a non-QB, by the way.
For a
Just as
non-quarterback,
total
absolutely.
other, sidebar.
They had their quarterback at the spot they were stuck in, and then they end up moving up completely unnecessarily in my mind, but whatever. I understand some of the logic of it, but it's a very high premium. When you're the Chiefs and you're specifically a team picking at the end of almost every round, it might be even more touchy. And I like I've said this week, I think Brett Veach's comments on this have all passed the smell test for me, both in terms of them really grappling with value and trying to maximize that in a way where it, even as someone who would rather have, 3 third-round picks than 1 high second, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of pulling numbers out of nowhere. But even in that world, I absolutely understand why you say, hey, if all we are going to do is move back and find the sliders, we're never trusting our scouts to see where maybe someone's being undervalued, where we are finding a guy that we see as a higher-rated player than the rest of the league does. You've got to trust your scouts to help you do that. That is how you end up with Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, they had to outbid the rest of the league for Patrick Mahomes. They had to be the highest team on Mahomes anywhere in the sport. But also, if you fall in love before the board ever starts falling, you could end up overpaying for a player who you love and has absolutely no guarantee to be excellent at the NFL level, because no one is guaranteed to be that good. You have really good bets, you have bad bets, but you've got to be willing to only play with money you're willing to lose, essentially, in the draft, in my mind. And they paid a price for Rashee Rice, and now he does have some really large, not just expectations, but kind of requirements put on what he is, more so even than Sky Moore did, because, again, they were able to move back and then still scoop him up a few picks later. They went and got Rashee Rice. They're telling you, regardless of if they came into the day with this or not, they're telling you that they thought he was special of that group.
Rashee Rice was 2 picks. It was a second and a fourth rounder combined for Rashee Rice. Whereas Will Anderson, expected to be much more of a difference maker, but as an edge rusher, not a quarterback, 4 picks. Will Anderson was 4 picks. Their first rounder, the fourth rounder they sent to the Cardinals, the 2024 first and the 2024 third round selection they sent to get up and get Will Anderson.
Which are going to be top 10 picks.
And the question you would have then, can Will Anderson ever live up to being a guy that you not only draft with your first rounder, but can he live up to being worth another first rounder, a third, and a fourth? Can he ever live up to being worth 4 picks? Or can Lucas Van Ness, if you just stay put at 12, where you traded back with the with Arizona, if you just stay put at 12 or traded up with Arizona, but if you just stay at 12 where you were, and you get Lucas Van Ness, he went 13 to the Packers, so maybe the Packers think, okay, they're going to get defensive end, let's jump ahead of them. But maybe even it's a small jump, whatever it is he good enough to be the percentage of Will Anderson to then throw in next year's first rounder, next year's third rounder, and the fourth rounder you had that year?
You get your pick of the third edge rusher in the draft class, whoever that is on your board for whatever fits your system.
Because Tyree went 7th to the Raiders, Tyree Wilson, and so you'd have to spend some capital to get up to number 6.
Sure, and
it wouldn't be as much, but it'd still be decent.
But just wait for your third impact pass rusher. I guess in this case you could count Jalen Carter as a pass rusher, certainly, but you still are picking from excellent prospects, like you laid out. The difference between Will Anderson and Van Ness or Will McDonald or whoever it would have been for them that needs to be the same or better value than everyone else you sent away with those picks. And the place where sometimes I end up butting heads with a contingent of Chiefs fans is like, you can't tell me that, Shamari Connor is the steal of the draft and a L'Jarius Sneed replacement, and the L'Jarius Sneed's been incredible, and that what a succession plan, and then tell me 4th-round picks don't matter. Because those are 2 4th-round picks in Sneed and Connor. So that 4th-rounder that they spent to go get Rashee Rice, he needs to be a Shamari Connor better. And L'Jarius Sneed is a tough one. But Joshua Williams last year was a 4th-round pick. I mean, and then Josh Kando was a 4th-round pick as well. Those are your 4th-round picks these last few years. There's a range of outcomes. There's certainly no guarantee to get those picks absolutely right, but those are really valuable spots whenever you believe in your scouting department in day 3 as much as you do in day 1 and 2.
So Chris Long has a podcast, and on the podcast, he had Brandon Beane on, the GM of the Buffalo Bills. Now, Buffalo made a slight move in the first round that they moved up from, 27 to 25? 27 to 25.
Nailed
they
it,
leapfrogged the Dallas Cowboys that we heard was going after a tight end, or people were talking about wanted Dalton Kincaid. So Brandon Beane, this is about 4.5 minutes. This is a longer clip, but it's in the mind of the GM, Brandon Beane, about trading up to get Dalton Kincaid, what went into it, and he gives some details on conversations that were taking place, and I want to play it because we talked about whether or not the Chiefs told the Cowboys we're trading up to get Mazie Smith, and I don't believe that to be the case. But that was the PR that came out from the Dallas Cowboys. We took Mazie Smith. Chiefs tried to trade up to get this guy, and we said, no, he's worth that. So take a listen. This is Brandon Beane on how trading up for Dalton Kincaid came together.
At what point in that first round do you start thinking about Dalton and moving up? Because you did move up. You probably looked at Dallas there, who most thought was going to go tight end if somebody was there. At what point is it 15? Is it 20? Is it a team that passes over somebody where you think, oh, this might actually be a possibility, and you start making those phone calls?
Yeah, I mean, in kind of my pre-draft prep, I was first off looking at some of the teams around us, what we kind of had as their top needs and where we thought they may go, what would be facing them, what decisions would they make. And part of it was figuring out where's this run of receivers going to happen. And we even thought Dalton, we thought there was 2 teams before 20 that might be interested in him. And then we kind of thought once they got to 20s, we thought the Chargers and the Cowboys would be 2 teams that we could see potentially taking him. And so when he got past the Chargers at 21, that's when we came in the draft with 6 picks, and so I wasn't like looking to move up and use one of those assets, but Dalton was a guy that really, we just thought was a really good fit, a lot of love for. And so when he got past the Chargers, at that point started checking in with teams to see was there any interest, and had I knew at that point, I'm like, if I can just get in front of Dallas, I don't think any of these other teams are taking tight end here. If they do, now someone could always trade in front of us too. So I got my buddy Joe Shane, who used to be my assistant GM. He's at the Giants now. We kind of worked out a deal through just texting each other that I would hop right in front of Dallas. But Joe then let me know that after the receivers went, I think he wanted receiver or the corner they took. So I don't know the receiver piece, but I'm guessing that's what it was. I think he got a little nervous that, all right, there was a run on receivers. Maybe now there's going to be a run on corners. So he swaps with Jacksonville. And so at that point, jumped on the phone with Jacksonville, and they were a little antsy about moving. They asked a lot of questions trying to figure out who we were going to take.
Yeah.
They wanted that offensive tackle from Oklahoma, who they got. So I'm glad they got their guy, because I was trying to talk them into, they were a little nervous that they were going to lose him. So worked it out, and we're thrilled to get him.
Do you have to tell the other team sometimes to be able to move up, like who you're moving up for?
Yeah, so Trent Baalke, their GM, he says, Brandon, I just moved one, and it's funny, I talked to Joe Shane later, and he said he pretty much had to tell him who it was. Yeah. So same thing, he's like, well, you're going to have to tell me who you're taking. I was like, well, Trent, I don't necessarily want to tell you who I'm taking. And he's like, well, we're gonna have to figure this out somewhere or the other, because if I don't know that you're not taking my guy, I'm not moving back. And so then he goes, offense or defense? And I said, offense. And he goes, all right, I need more. And so then he goes, big or small? And I said, medium. And so he goes, are you taking a tight end? And I said, yeah. And he goes, all right, let me call you right back. Well, it's like the longest 2 minutes, and he still hasn't called back. And now I'm hearing Jacksonville's on the clock. I'm like, so I call him back. I'm like, Trent, like, I'm telling you, we're not taking the same guy. I think I know where you're heading. We're not taking the same guy, and you're going to get him. And so he was nervous about it. I'm glad he got his guy. I wouldn't have wanted to work against
That's funny. That's funny. Hey, you're a Giants fan right here. Anything you want to tell Joe Shane by way of Brandon?
Yes, send me everything you get.
Well, I'm glad you jumped in front of. I'm glad you jumped in front of Dallas. Thank you for letting Brian and Joe go spread their wings and getting us a playoff win in MetLife. No, if Joe says yeah, we're gonna go receiver corner, and then takes Dalton Kincaid from you at 24. I mean, is the friendship over at that point?
Well, we didn't. We never talked. I just kind of knew. I felt like with Dable, they were going to be looking for receiving weapon, which they went and got Jalen Hyatt there in the second. So we didn't get into those specifics, and he didn't know who I was. Joe didn't know who I was after. So it would have been fine. I didn't listen. We're boys, but we don't trust each other that much to tell each other who you pick.
I love hearing all that information. It's great because he's watching the board and seeing where, okay, there's a run on receivers. Well, we want to get Dalton Kincaid. Dallas, we think, is going to go tight end. Let's move up. Okay, Jacksonville had just moved with the Giants. Okay, now let me call my best friend in the business, Joe Schoen, and talk to him about maybe moving up and him sliding back. And he's like, no, I mean, we got to get this guy. They got Deonte Banks, the cornerback from Maryland. But they looked at it, Buffalo did, and said, we got to move in front of Dallas. That's the main thing. And they get up there. But what I find fascinating is the conversations between the GMs that took place in real time, where Jacksonville was saying, who are you taking? And he said, I'm not telling you. I'm not going to tell you who we're taking. He didn't even tell his good friend, Joe Schoen, with the Giants, who they were going to take. That's one of his best friends in the business. Which brings me to the Chiefs. Why would then Brett Veach tell Jerry Jones, like, oh, we're taking Maisie Smith, we're trading up to take Maisie Smith? Now, there could have been indications, like he said, Trent Baalke was like, you got to let me know, man, offense or defense? Offense. Well, we know that Jacksonville took Anton Harrison.
Right.
We know they took the tackle.
And they're looking for big as the answer to big or small.
Big or small, medium. Oh, you're taking a tight end. Yeah, we're taking a tight end. I'll call you back.
Yep.
Here's the issue there. I'll call you back. Ding. Hey, Jera.
Hey, Dallas.
You want a tight end, right? Buffalo's getting a tight end. We're talking to Buffalo about trading up for a tight end. Here's what they have on the table. Can you come over the top? Come over the top of that. And then we go back to Buffalo and say, hey, look, Dallas just called us. I don't know who Dallas is taking. And I didn't tell you who you're taking. But I'm telling you, we might be more interested in this because we know they're not taking our guy, and we only have to move back one spot. That's why it makes no sense to where you're like, here's who I'm taking. Here's who I'm drafting. But you also know everybody's board and everybody's draft board. Like, I don't know that they're board, B-O-R-E-D, but, everybody's draft board to where he goes, look, Trent, I'm not taking your guy. I know who you're taking. You're going to get him because Dallas ain't taking him and I ain't taking him. You're going to get your guy. Let's do this, okay? And they're like, all right, let's do it. And they got their guy in Anton Harrison. But just that whole conversation of, no, I'm not telling you. Joe Schoen's he's my boy. I don't trust him enough to tell him who I'm taking, which is great because what does he do with that information?
I think it's interesting also to note that they started making calls at 22, he said, after they got past L.A., and they didn't move up with Baltimore or Minnesota, who took receivers, who the Chiefs almost certainly called as well. The Giants, they moved up to get Deonte Banks, so they weren't looking to move down. Then you have where Buffalo landed. They just were, again, like we all just heard there, they were just trying to jump. Dallas, well, the Cowboys get Mazi, The Jags at 27, obviously they weren't going to move back with the Chiefs because the Chiefs might have taken Anton Harrison
That's
if
right.
they would have moved with them.
Yep.
And now we're talking about Myles Murphy being potentially a target, Nolan Smith at 30 potentially being targets. But I don't think the Bengals or Eagles were going to move back with the Chiefs because they took those two guys, and then the Saints in the middle would have been, moving up 2 spots. All of that to say, the sort of stacked last 10 picks of the first round that the Chiefs also ran into, the Bills are running into it also. And now we know, these teams really like the guys they ended up with, it sounds like.
And if the Chiefs, even if they're not trading up for, let's say they're trading up for Nolan Smith. Let's say they call the Jags, we want Nolan Smith. And they go, yeah, but if Nolan Smith is off the board, then the Bengals or the Saints or the Eagles can take Anton Harrison.
Yep.
We can't risk that.
Yep.
I know that you're not taking our guy, but if we move back 3 spots, we think the guy you're trading up for is going to be one of these picks behind us that they'll take. But if he's gone, our guy then becomes an available option. We can't do it, man.
Yep.
We just can't do it. And also looking at the board, once Kincaid got past the Chargers, the Ravens have Andrews, the Vikings just traded for Hawkinson, and the Giants just traded for Waller.
Yep.
They're not going tight end. You know that.
Yep.
Let's get up ahead of Dallas. That means it's that Jacksonville selection there. Let's do that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Wrap up this hour next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Every year, Cars for Heroes awards hundreds of donated vehicles to those in need. And for some, it's an accessible van that allows them to take a family member who uses a wheelchair out for the first time in years. Or for others, it's just a simple car that can get them to work and to doctor's appointments, which is obviously so important. And Johnny's Tavern and Cars for Heroes are teaming up again this month to give away a car to someone in need. You can join us here at Sports Radio 810 WHB and Cars for Heroes today from 4 to 6 p.m. at Johnny's Tavern in the Power and Light District. I'll be out there for this great event and also to say hi and maybe shake some hands out there at the Johnny's in the P&L District. The lucky recipient will be presented his car at Johnny's. You can come support Johnny's Tavern, come support Cars for Heroes, and us here at Sports Radio 810 with this great community event. Johnny's has 12 locations in the metro. Go to johnnystavern.com for the location nearest you.
So you're looking to unwind after a long day or celebrate with...
913-912-4810. 913-912-4810. Tex says, do some research. Eagles pay Johnson more at right tackle than Mailata at left tackle. Eagles pay 36 for both. Denver pays 34 for two. Chiefs 29 for starters. Well, I appreciate that. Sort of what we already talked about.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm confused why this person sounds so angry.
I feel like that's exactly what we're talking about. If Jawan Taylor plays right tackle and either Donovan Smith or Wanya Morris or whoever plays left tackle, their combined tackles would make 22, 23. I mean, if Donovan Smith, he can make up to 9, so it'd be like 29 million if he gets all of the incentives. But it's not going to be 29 for sure. We don't know that. Because if it's an incentive-laden deal to where he can earn up to 9 and he does not start at left tackle and he's a depth piece, he ain't going to earn every dollar of the up to. So if you are secure at both tackle spots that will protect Mahomes, the allocation of the money doesn't really matter. Mitchell Schwartz made more than Eric Fisher. He was better than Eric Fisher. So, and that cap number combined, or it might have been almost equal.
It was very similar, I think.
Because the cap number combined was like 15 and 14. I think Mitchell was at 15 and Fisher, just in 2020, the last year, they were both on the team. So it was right around 30 they were paying for both, which if you have bookend tackles like the Chiefs did with what they got from Fisher on the left side and Mitchell Schwartz on the right side, yeah, I'll take $30 million against the cap if you're telling me that's what those guys are able to do. Right now, you got 20 against the cap. Rookie in Wanya Morris, third-year guy in Lucas Niang, third year against his contract, even though he fourth year technically since he was drafted because he was sitting out that first year of COVID. And, Donovan Smith, whatever he ends up making. It's going to be less than that 30 because even if Donovan Smith gets paid the entirety of his $9 million, it'd be, $29 million or so. But that's sort of the breakdown of if you pay your left tackle $20 million and your right tackle $23 and you get a level of play at an 8, or you pay your left tackle $3 and your right tackle $20 and you get a level of play at 8, what's it matter the allocation if both those guys are playing the way that they're supposed to be playing?
Yep, it's why I don't balk at the idea of quote-unquote left tackle money or right tackle money. Right now, not including Donovan Smith's number yet, the Chiefs are 21st in 2023 cap allocation on the entirety of the offensive line out of 32 teams. Let's say it's $5 million against the cap this year, just kind of splitting the difference. That would move them up to just almost exactly league average in terms of amount of money spent across the entirety of the offensive line. That's good for on the depth front, the rookie contracts, all of that helps.
This is another fun one. Tex says, I'm amazed that Jason thinks Rashee Rice will be mediocre or a bust.
I'm also amazed to hear you say that.
Camp doesn't open until late July or August. I'm willing to wait until Rice has been around a couple of years before I gauge his draft value. That's why I'm not on sports radio. Well, there's probably a number of other reasons, actually. Once all the players show themselves in camp and practice, then the coaches will figure out at that point. Well, you might not be on there because you have trouble listening and actually critically understanding what's being said. Also, I'm probably one of the few people on sports radio that even talked about Rashee Rice the last 2 weeks, that knew who he was when they drafted him and discussed him before the draft as a fit for the Chiefs and somebody I would like them to go get. In the second round, there were 3 names: Mingo, Tillman, Rashee Rice. Those were guys. So I'm not sure how anybody could infer that I think Rashee Rice will be a bust. Pointing out the issues that are there is not saying he will be a bust. It's presenting reality. He has trouble separating against lower-level competition. It's why he was a second-rounder. If he didn't have that trouble separating and he was brilliant at the top of his breaks and was an amazing route runner, he would have been gone before the Chiefs had a chance to even take FAU. A second-round wide receiver has faults to their game. When you trade up for him, it makes it even that much more of an important piece to go and get it right. Or Rice, in this particular case. I really like Rashee Rice a lot. It's why I would love to know other people on sports radio in the last couple of weeks that have even talked about him as a Chiefs wide receiver target. That's all.
Yeah, and I'm just sort of curious why you hate Rashee Rice is just sort of what I want to know. So much. Why do you hate him so? Why have you already written off his career?
I am going to buy a number 11 Chiefs jersey. Oh, wait, that's MVS. Damn it.
Did he say what he's wearing? I think he's going single digits.
Yeah, I think he is too. Because, I mean, I don't think Rashee Rice is coming in and saying, hey, MVS, let me get that 11 from you.
I think that's fair.
Because MVS probably has more money than, not even probably, he has more. Rashee Rice ain't going to pay MVS enough to get that 11 from him.
It's going to be number 4. That's a great receiving number in the modern era, I think.
I don't know. I'm nervous.
Stepping into Chad Henne's big shoes.
Boy, I don't know. Number 4. That's an interesting one.
I'm excited about it, I think.
I'm more nervous about it now.
You know what it's better than? 23. I know the whole logic for Sky Moore's whole deal.
Right.
I do. I get it. Or 24, excuse me. 24.
Yeah.
24.
Oh, as Tex
Even
says,
less aesthetic.
Tex says Rice 4 is his high school number.
There you go. That's great.
I like it.
I'm glad it's not a 2 and a 4.
Tex says, you won't buy that jersey. You'll wait for the free T-shirt giveaway.
That's true.
I want to give that person a prize.
Let's give them a grain of rice, which is also what you can buy to support your man.
That is a great callback and a great text. I love that. That's great. Texas should have worn 80. Montana and Rice.
Wow.
80. Rice, baby.
The Force will be with you. Always.
May the Force be with you.
Hey, Luke. May the Force be with you.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Nine 810 is the phone number. 913-381-810. Let's play a little sports or leisure on this Thursday. Again, 913-381-810. Playing for Johnny's Tavern. $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. Get a sports question right, get a leisure question right. You win $25 to the best sports bar in Kansas City. 10 locations, KC, Lawrence, and Topeka. Johnny's Tavern, where nobody I know will be there today. I'm not sure.
I'll be there. I'll be at Johnny's Tavern at the Power and Light District with Cards for Heroes, Jason.
Nobody that I claim I know will be out.
Jason, I'll be out there. It'll be great. You want to come out and have lunch with these? Share some Wilson wings?
Actually, would love to.
A little Nuke Lelouch?
Absolutely love to. Picking up the kids, and then little man's got a baseball game tonight if the rain will hold off.
I don't think it's going to rain. Why don't you guys come out to Johnny's with me?
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's going to rain, then
I'll have one pizza for myself, please.
I'll have one pizza, sir.
I think I might actually do that. I might just get a big pizza and go ahead and get it in the to-go box. Just sort of pick at it for a couple hours, enjoy the Nuke Lelouch there, enjoy a little Nuke Lelouch later. Boom.
Yeah.
Nuke Lelouch day.
There you go. Nuke Lelouch, Wilson wings. Those are my go-to. That's there. You rocking some Espinachos today?
I go some Espinachos. No, it's been a while since I got Espinachos.
You know you're going Espinachos today.
I'm really in a pizza mood at the moment.
You're pre-gaming for Cinco de Mayo.
At
Johnny's today.
I'm going to put down a good base layer in my couple hours at Johnny's. I will be ready.
Because by the time you get there, it will be Cinco de Mayo somewhere.
That's a great point. Yeah. Absolutely. I might stay there until Cinco de Mayo begins.
Well, you only have to stay there till 11 of the East Coast. It just depends on.
Yeah.
We're really talking about it. It begins somewhere. It's probably happening right now.
I'm just going to let's see how long Johnny's lets me just stick around.
Well, if you just go over to somebody's house that's just named Johnny, they may let you stay there a couple
I
of
feel
days.
better with my odds with the actual tavern, but I'll keep my options open.
913-381-810. Your options on categories today for sports or leisure will be NFL draft, Chiefs draft, and then we have some Major League Baseball. So we have general NFL draft, Chiefs draft, Major League Baseball. What about on the leisure side, Josh?
On the leisure side, we have literal Royals, not baseball, but royalty. We have the commonly misspelled word spelling bee, where I will put you on blast if you are not prepared for a word that, we're going to get that degree of difficulty in a good place, I think. Plus, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Questions that they might be teaching in fifth grade right now, but it could have been a while since you yourself have had to answer them. And then, of course, a few more reloadings into the pun name game. It's back, baby. Week off from sports or leisure. We got some puns for you, too.
There we go. Pun name game and the other categories he mentioned that I wasn't listening to. So that is...
exactly right. That's the list.
Sports or leisure, the categories. 913-381-810. Get a leisure question, get a sports question. Get them both right. You win $25 to Johnny's Tavern. I am ready to play. Josh, you good to go?
I am so good to go. Good to go to Johnny's. Good to go all together. Oh, I'm so good to go. Jake, good to go?
No, but I don't think that really matters.
Okay. You know what? For this hour, may the 4th be with you, Drake.
Thank you. And also with you.
Thank
Live
you.
long and prosper.
I appreciate that.
Hate you.
Don't we all? All right, let's go to the phone lines, and we start off with Craig leads us off here on Sports or Leisure on this Thursday edition of the show. Craig, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Yeah, I'm back again.
Yes,
to
sir.
Fail.
You know what? Let's have a better attitude, Craig. Come on. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
There is no try, is what Spock told me.
Let's try a Kentucky Derby. I got married on 5/7/05. Who won that race? I'm asking you.
I don't think it works that
way. That is Jason's question, actually. He had that one written down.
I know.
That was in a sealed envelope.
Derby. Oh, was that? Hold on.
I'm gonna say
was that Giacomo?
I'm gonna say it was a horse.
Yes.
Wow.
Was it Giacomo?
Giacomo?
Yes, you're a winner.
All right, Jason, you're going
Thank
to
you,
Johnny's.
Thank you, everybody.
Today.
Thank you, everybody. Waving.
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you, everybody.
I was so excited to ask that question for my wife. So
there you go.
You did me a great favor.
Absolutely. You know what? I should have some horse racing questions here for the Derby, but that's fine.
I know. I thought about that.
All good. I mean, I've got one. If you want to ask me,
you got a horse question?
I can give him a Kentucky Derby question. So
now, smarter than a fifth grader.
Okay.
What does NASA stand for?
Oh. National Aeronautic and Space Association. God, what the...
And also with you, sir. Craig,
Are you kidding me?
Well, he's not. I also am not. That was pretty good. That was very good.
You've
and
been in the
so
cuts
close.
more than you've been to Johnny's, Craig, and I really appreciate that.
But you know what? You can go to Johnny's and see Josh today if you want to.
Please, but
And
don't,
you know what?
Don't today. I'm afraid you're going to be in a bad mood.
Tell
man.
him exactly what you think. Aaron.
I didn't name NASA. I just read the question.
Oh, I try like hell. Damn it! Four-time loser. All right.
Craig, you're the man.
Talk
I
to you next
appreciate
week.
it, sir. I actually just put Craig on hold. Actually, I put him on hold for some. I'm like, you know what? Hold on there. Let's see if you can be a 5-time loser.
Oh, he's my favorite.
That's right. 913-381-810. Let's go to Brian next up on Sports Radio 810. Sports or leisure, Brian? What side do you want to start with, sir?
Can I hit the NASA question?
Yeah, what does it
go
stand
ahead.
for?
The National Aeronautics and Space Administration. I
Yeah.
think that's where
It's the administration. But it's kind of an association of people that can administer things, right? I mean, can it be NASA? Association Administration?
That's awesome, man.
On to the sports side. NFL draft, Chiefs draft, Major League Baseball, anything that's tickling your fancy.
Let's try Chiefs draft.
All right, Chiefs draft for you. All right, let's see which one on the board that I like the best. Okay, let's go with this one. The Chiefs selected Keandre Coburn from Texas. He's the third player from Texas, drafted by Texas Longhorn, drafted by the Chiefs since 1990. Who were the other two Texas Longhorns the Chiefs drafted since 1990 before Coburn?
Oh, Derek Johnson.
There's one.
The other one, that's going to be tough. 1990.
Yeah, it's been since DJ, though. I'll tell you that much. There's my hint. It's been since Derek Johnson.
It's not been all that long ago then. Okay. I want to keep you guys. I'm blanking.
Brian, thank you for playing, sir.
Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one. Somebody may be answering that one here pretty quickly. So listen, and we may have the answer there to that one. Joel next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB Sports or Leisure. Joel, what side do you want to start with?
Let's go leisure, fifth grader, please.
Which blood type is known as the universal recipient?
Universal recipient is AB, I believe.
Nailed it.
Good for you.
You were way more confident in that knowing
Absolutely.
it than I was asking it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wrong. I mean, the guesses I can have here. Oh, my goodness. Which one am I going to guess here? All right, on to the sports side. NFL draft, Chiefs draft, and some Major League Baseball questions.
I was thinking about that Chiefs draft question, but I can't think of the guy either, so I'll just go NFL draft, please.
NFL draft. Well, we got plenty of other Chiefs ones, but NFL draft for you. Let's see. Where are we at here? All right. Very good. Let's see. What's the one related to this year? Okay. Will Anderson Jr. drafted third overall. Finished his career with 34.5 career sacks at Alabama, which are the second most in history for that program, behind another player taken in the top 5 of the NFL draft. Who was Will Anderson looking up at in career sacks at Alabama? Top 5 pick in the NFL draft, all-time sack leader at Alabama.
Derek Thomas?
Well done. Derek Thomas is correct. I didn't want to say top 4 pick because I thought maybe if I said the 4th pick in the draft, it might be that much easier. But top 5 pick, number 4 pick, Derek Thomas, number 1 all-time at Alabama. Will Anderson Jr., number 2 all-time, but number 3. And number 1 or 2 in Texans' hearts? I don't know. Not sure. Joel, we'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. 913-381-810. We also still have the question about the Texas Longhorns that were drafted by the Chiefs that's out there. Let's go to Sean next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB, Sports or Leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern. Sean, what side do you want to start with, bud?
What's up, fellas? How's it going?
It is going fine, man. Hope you're doing well. What you thinking to start off?
I think I might steal that Texas draft question.
Yeah, go ahead. Who's the drafted Keandre Coburn, third player from Texas, Longhorn, drafted by the Chiefs since 1990. Who were the others? Derek Johnson in 2005 was guessed correctly. Who's the other?
Jamal Charles.
Jamal Charles in 2008. That is correct.
A tough one to leave on the board.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. That of course it was Jamal Charles. Ugh. My hint was going to be if we kept getting wrong guesses, my hint was going to be Josh would actually draft this guy in the first round.
I would draft this running back. Period. Yeah.
I wasn't going to say running back.
Sure,
I couldn't do that. On to leisure though with Josh.
Do you know which category you'd like? I can read them off to you one again. The literal royals, the commonly misspelled word spelling bee, are you smarter than a fifth grader, and the pun name game.
Let's try smarter than a fifth grader.
How many amendments are in the Bill of Rights?
So many amendments in the Constitution.
Man, I should know that like right off the top of my head.
I should too, and I just Googled it to double check.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Got at least 5. But no further hints.
I choose the 5th.
Man, I'm thinking. I don't even know. Like,
I should probably know that too, but
we all can. We know you can plead at least 5.
Yeah, but here's my wife and I were talking about this last night because she works in higher education.
Does she want to do my leisure questions for next week?
No.
Oh, okay.
But just something in general. She works in higher education for a while now. She works on the college side in terms of college admission, or high school side in college admissions, thing like that. And we were talking about testing out of different courses and AP testing, and then you don't have to take that class or that gen ed, and it's that amount of hours. And we were talking about just regular history. She was like, my gen ed history, we had a choice, Western civilization, and it was before or after 1600. I'm like, the same thing at Northwest.
Yeah.
That was your history or whatever. And I'm like, we were both talking why couldn't U.S. history be offered? I would have rather had U.S. history than Western Civ post 1600. I don't care about that at all. But U.S. history would help, studying that a little bit more.
Knowing about
some of those things. I might know how many amendments are in the Constitution besides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you have a guess, Sean?
I do have a guess. I guess.
You will guess.
I think it's.
Guess.
10, maybe 10.
Oh, are there 10?
There are 10.
How about that?
In the Bill of Rights, yes.
In the Bill of Rights. That's what I said. In the Bill of Rights. Specifically in the Bill of Rights.
Good call. Okay, very good. Yeah, nice job. I would have been totally wrong on that because I'd have guessed 58.
And I just wish Jamal Charles and Derek Johnson would have won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
I agree with that.
Right to amend that bit of history.
They would have another one. That would be great, too. Sean, we'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, guys.
Absolutely. There you go. Winner heading to Johnny's Tavern. $25 we give away to the winners of Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. 913-381-810. We'll take a quick break. Come back. Continue with some Sports or Leisure on this Thursday.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Time for a Kentucky Derby flashback brought to you by...
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 9133-810-810, $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We are playing for in a little sports or leisure, 9133-810-810 on this Thursday. Resetting the categories, we've got NFL Draft, Chiefs Draft, and some Major League Baseball. And if somebody wants a Derby question, I can throw that one out there. I can come up with a couple and do that. So it'll mainly be who won the 2005 Derby. Giacomo, dang it. Just did it. What about on the leisure side?
We've got literal royals. I'll ask you about royalty from fiction or maybe sort of real life, but I'm not going to go down. This isn't a coronation question, all right? Don't worry about it if you're really big on the English royalty. And then we have our commonly misspelled words spelling bee. The Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Most of these are pretty self-explanatory. And then the pun name game. Combination of a couple of names into one big name that usually makes at least someone involved a little angry.
913-810-810. Back to the phone lines we go. And Christopher waiting patiently to join and play some sports or leisure. Christopher, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Well, first of all, let's happy May the 4th, everybody.
And to you as well.
Oh, thank you. To all the true geeks, Star Wars geeks out there, it's our day to shine. I've already watched every episode of Star Wars Vision Season 2.
Ooh,
you
nice.
know what that is? They're a true geek. But
Drake,
anyway.
Drake, you've done that as well, or where are you at?
Haven't gotten to season 2 yet.
Okay.
Spoil the whole thing for us, if you would.
So what happens at the end? See, what's the cliffhanger in season 2? Hold on,
Well,
Chewbacca's going to tell us. Damn it!
Yeah, if you can spoil
Why are
it,
you
in-
giving that away?
If you can spoil it in Wookiee, I actually think that would be okay. Drake, do you speak Wookiee?
Anyway, Christopher.
Yes, sir.
He wants the NFL draft question. Could we get the NFL draft question, please, Jason? The ones about past winners of Wookiee of the Year?
Sure, let's do that. Actually.
That's actually not one of them.
No, it's not. Darn, I thought I might get lucky.
That was a very upset Chewy.
Yeah, that was.
He wasn't happy about something, you know.
That should be our new losing buzzer for the rest of today. Yeah, I think that's good. I love it.
All right, on to just sports
Sorry,
or
you have
leisure.
to-
I'm
you
not
have to
really
pick-
sure.
you have to pick an actual category.
Yeah, you gotta
Sorry, we'll
go.
stop bleeping
There's
it
no Wookiee of the Year, which Josh was wrong
I
about.
why didn't I do a Star Wars category?
Because you're dumb.
I'm really, yes. Josh, you stole my thunder.
Go
Why did
sports
you guys
first.
not
I'll give you
have
Star Wars questions next. I'm adding Star Wars questions, but start with sports. You got to get through Jason first.
Yeah, and Drake might be able to come up with on the top of his head, too.
Let's do Chiefs draft then.
All right, Chiefs draft for you. Boy, this is pretty crucial because to get your Star Wars question, you got to get this one
Gotta
right.
nail this
Oh,
one.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Woo!
Bring it on, baby.
Let's see here. All right, Chiefs have traded their first-round pick for a player from another team 4 different times. Who are they?
Who are all of them?
Yep, who are they? The Chiefs traded their first-rounder, not to move up or draft a player, but traded it to another team for an already active player. Should start working through them here.
Frank Clark.
There's one.
Oh, God.
Nope, he was not one.
No, our Lord and Savior was not one.
Nope, he was not. Oddly enough, it didn't take anything to bring him to the Chiefs. It was just immaculate.
So how many?
There are 4. You got one of what I thought of the 2 that would be sort of the free spaces.
What about Alex Smith? or was he a second-round draft?
He was definitely a second-round draft pick. He was not, but he just said, "What about him?"
He
right?
said, "What about him?"
What
He
about?
actually answered
Well,
the
you know what?
question,
What about him? He went to Utah.
Yeah.
He was drafted first overall by the 49ers. Traded to the Chiefs for a second-rounder. I think played pretty well for the Chiefs. Very underrated. The further he gets away from his time with the Chiefs, I think people grow a greater appreciation for him. Anything else you were wondering about Alex Smith?
No, how's his leg doing right now?
As well as you could possibly think it could be
Doing
doing
some media, seems like
from
he's
where
doing
it
great.
was when he was on the ground to now. I think it's much better. It's as good as you could hope. He still has it, which is a great thing because it was a question at one point. Do you have another guess since we told you all about Alex Smith? So Frank Clark is definitely one of them. You're on the right path in terms of position, since two of the other ones are on that.
You know what? At this moment, I can't. Wait a second. Traded a first-round draft pick to move up, right?
Nope, just to get somebody from another team. They traded their first rounder for Frank Clark, like you mentioned.
Oh,
that has been
okay,
done
I
3
get
other
you.
times.
Joe Montana.
There's one of them.
Okay. Defenses. Chester McLaughlin.
Ooh, it was not Chester. Was not Chester. Christopher, every time you call in, we'll give you a Star Wars question.
I'm going to keep this Star Wars tab open here.
We will keep Star Wars, so the next time you call in, you say, you know what, the Star Wars question is only for you. Nobody gets to call in and request Star Wars if it's not a category except for Christopher.
But
All
today
right?
it's a category now. And you
Yeah,
can,
for
you can
today
thank
it is.
Christopher for that.
Yeah, today it is, but next week on May the 11th, which isn't nearly as cool to Star Wars fans.
And honestly, if I die today and I know that a category of Star Wars was named on my behalf, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what? There are much better things to have as legacies, but that certainly would be one of them.
There are probably worse. Probably.
You know what?
Probably
There are
worse.
a lot of worse things to be known
A lot
for.
of worse things, actually.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
Lots of them.
Christopher, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. 913-381-0810. That question is out there. We need the other two. Was it mean to ask for all 4, or is this one that kind of I feel like
I'm still only about half sure that I actually heard the question at all
Oh, you're
because
good.
I was trying to add a Star Wars question
No,
in
that
real
makes
time,
total
and
sense.
some of these are too
Makes
geeky
total
for
sense.
me, and some of these seem too obvious.
Chiefs have traded their first-round draft pick for a player on another team 4 times.
4 times, okay.
And he named Frank Clark and Joe Montana. There's 2 other ones. There are 2 other ones out there. Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810. Sports or leisure, Ryan? What side would you like to start with, sir?
I'll take a different Chiefs draft question.
Very good. Different Chiefs draft question. Let's see. We've got. Okay. Speaking of quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes is the 3rd and final so far quarterback drafted by the Chiefs since Andy Reid became head coach. Name either of the other 2 quarterbacks drafted by the Reid regime. They've drafted 2 quarterbacks, and then they stopped drafting quarterbacks after they got that fella with pick number 10. Turns out, don't need any more. Either of the quarterbacks drafted since 2013. They were both 5th rounders, by the way.
I've got my
Tell you that
answer
much.
that feels like a generation ago, but
Both Power 5 players.
Didn't one of them have a brother who was a reality show star?
Was on The Bachelorette. That's right.
I don't remember the Chiefs drafted.
And he
Carson
won.
Palmer.
He won. He was the one that finished with the final rose and asked, what was her name, to marry. And then they broke up because it turns out he was a real jerk.
Aaron Murray?
Hey, nice job. That's right.
Was
Yes.
can I shoot the other one down, or does he need them both?
No, he only needs one.
So the other one, Kevin Hogan.
Kevin Hogan.
We've
that's
got
right.
we've got mediocre 5th-round quarterbacks for days around here.
Now I need to know where both of them went to school, Josh, since you're that badass. You're so cool. You're so tough.
Georgia
quarterback guesser.
and
Yep, where'd Kevin Hogan go?
Where did Kevin Hogan go, man?
Power 5.
Oh, I don't think this is right.
West
but I'm
Coast.
just gonna say West Coast.
Yep. West Coast field.
Stanford?
Ryan in the
Wow.
house.
Thank you, Ryan. There we
Rub
go.
that right in your face, Josh.
That's a win and a half.
Yes. All right, on the leisure side with Josh.
You only need half a win from leisure, but we don't do fractions here. So what category do you like?
I'll do the misspelled words.
Okay, your commonly misspelled word is maintenance.
MAINTENANCE.
Well done. Nice job.
This is the category that makes me feel stupid because this is basically a list of words that I had to get help with spell check from before I texted them to anyone.
All good. Ryan, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations,
Ryan.
man.
Appreciate it.
All right, $25 to Johnny's Tavern, sports or leisure there as he got the, which one did I get right on the, the Aaron Murray and Kevin. I wanted to mark it off. So Aaron Murray and Kevin Hogan. God, I can't remember.
I talked myself into Aaron Murray for a little bit in there.
Can't remember what her, I think it was Andy. I think her name was Andy. All right, 9133-810-810. Let's go to Jimmy next up on Sports Radio 810. She was a lawyer. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jimmy, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'll take administration for that idiot before that couldn't figure it out.
It's already been taken.
The NASA one, that NASA one's done. NASA one has been taken.
I know.
Okay.
Giacomo, too.
It's the
He
second
said that
time.
was a freebie.
The second time Craig is called back
This
in.
is what I thought. Is
It's the
this,
second
I
time
was like, hold
Craig
on a
is called
second.
back
Wait,
in. This is
I just
the-
looked over at Jason
this is
thinking,
the
hold
one
on.
one.
You're the only one who's allowed to do this.
This is one per day.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, this is great. I love this.
All right, let's get this over with then.
Well, so you got to pick another category? We've lost off the
fifth grader.
I love it.
All right.
He wants to be smarter than a fifth grader eventually.
So bad. If a
come on.
No, this one's fine. You got this. You should get this one. If a car is traveling at 40 miles an hour,
no.
How long will it take for it to go 180 miles? You can do this one.
Wait,
Sounds easy.
what?
If a car is driving consistently at an average speed of 40 miles per hour, how long will it take to go 180 miles?
I don't care.
Why don't you at least start on the sports side of your subject?
No, you said no math involved in this stuff.
No, well, don't ask for the fifth grader question.
No. My wife is going to kill me. I'm over 5. I'm so pathetic.
Craig, Jimmy.
Hey, man, I tried like hell.
You did. You tried. But like
Please
Yoda.
lead us off again next week. So proud of me. I tried like hell, man.
Well
All right.
done. Jimmy Craig, I appreciate it,
You
man.
can call
Thank you.
in any segment
Oh,
in
my
any
goodness.
hour during the week, I think, and I'll take it. That question's out there for anybody.
Whew. There you go. I don't care. How long would it take you to get there? I don't care. What does it matter to me?
I could have asked a different question, I guess, but
Let's go to Matt next up on Sports Radio
like this
810 WHB. Matt, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
Craig, sports or leisure?
I will try that Chiefs draft one.
Chiefs draft question on the traded first rounders.
Yes.
Okay, the Chiefs have, in case people did not hear, Chiefs have traded their first round pick for a player from another team 4 different times. Who are they? Frank Clark and Joe Montana have already been said. Who are the other two?
I believe Orlando Brown Jr.
Yes.
and Trent Green.
Correct. Those are the 4. Joe Montana, Trent Green, Frank Clark, and Orlando Brown. Leisure with Josh.
Do you know what category you'd like?
Let's go pun name game.
Oh, let's go pun name game. This early 2000s Royal played his college ball at Nebraska before a short career in Kansas City, which included 1 year as the Royals' only All-Star in 2004. He wasn't as good in the second half of the year, though. Started the 05 season in Omaha. Man, talk about being two-faced. You might as well flip a coin at that point.
That is a wordy question.
There's a lot of hints.
Yeah, but my goodness.
You have it yet, though?
Well, my problem is when you said played at Nebraska, I immediately thought of a player
And
that
it's
then
not
wouldn't
that one.
then wouldn't matter. So a number of the hints along the way I lost because I was already thinking of Alex Gordon.
Okay.
So I think you should read it again.
Okay, this is an early 2000s Royal, like Alex Gordon, but not Alex Gordon. Played his college ball at Nebraska, had a short career in Kansas City, but it included 1 year as the Royals' only All-Star. That was in 2004. He wasn't as good in the second half of the year, though, so he started the 05 season in Omaha. Man, just a two-faced time in Kansas City. Just
He
flipping
was
a coin.
Also a T-bone at one point.
He certainly was.
He was.
Go with Ken Harvey Dent.
There we go! There we go! I believed in you, and you believed in me.
Nice
Gosh
job,
darn it.
sir. Nice job. Ken Harvey Dent. And that's what happened to his back when he got hit by a baseball.
Wow.
Dent. That's a winner, right?
A well-earned
well
winner.
done. Matt, we'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations.
Thank you.
About that.
Good work, Matt.
913-381-0810. When the Royals or Chiefs were trading for Trent Green, Ken Harvey was...
That can happen a lot, right? The all-star who starts the next year in Omaha and never really makes it back. That's a unique path.
Well, yeah, because you can be someone who the first half of the season was batting .315 for some reason, and then I think ends up at like .210.
Yeah, it was
and
bad.
then struggles
but
the next spring training. So yes, it could be that.
Rare.
Yeah. Of course, at that time, a Royals all-star then being in the minor leagues the next year,
Totally fair.
wasn't that surprising.
No, that's a great point.
Let's go to Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports or leisure, Andrew? What side do you want to start with?
Let's go leisure and Royal. So Royals, thanks.
I just need the name of the king of the nation of Wakanda.
The king?
Mm-hmm.
We talked. Okay. Well, there's two answers, I guess.
you know.
But yeah, well,
If you give them both, you definitely win.
T'Challa and T'Chaka.
That's good enough for
Yeah,
me.
for
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. T'Challa alone would have gotten it done.
I would have gone. Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan.
Right,
Those are the ones I would have gone with.
That would have
just me
been
personally.
close to getting it. I'm not
yes,
sure.
that's those are both of them. All right, on to the. Was that a spoiler alert? Oh no.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're all right.
On to the sports side, sir. We've got Chiefs draft, NFL draft, and some Major League Baseball.
It's Chiefs draft.
All right, Chiefs draft. So B.J. Thompson from Stephen F. Austin became the fourth player Brett Veach has drafted from a non-FBS school. Name any of the other three. Brett Veach drafted, so since 2018, non-FBS school. So that's either FCS or Division II. Non-FBS school, B.J. Thompson, Stephen F. Austin, the fourth one. Any of the other three?
Gosh, I can't think. There was a defensive lineman a couple years ago, I believe.
Yes.
This is one of them.
One of my,
I
one
would've
of my
said to
favorite Chiefs.
I would have said to get two of these.
When she was still
Yeah.
here.
God, is it Tershawn Wharton?
It is not.
He was not drafted. He was undrafted free agent.
He's a preferred.
No,
but
come on.
It's a
but he
tough
was
one.
from Rolla. I mean, he did
It
go to
was-
Rolla, which is what it's called. What's it called now? Missouri
UDFA.
S&T.
Missouri S&T. Yeah, that's
mean,
right.
It's just, I'm just.
He wasn't a draft pick.
Andrew.
It's a good question. I think here's
yeah.
the thing. I hate to drop the buzzer on Andrew, but I think you could have asked for two of these answers
Really?
and been I do. And just in the Brett Veach era alone,
Why are you?
it's only like 20 guys.
Why are you spiking it in front of Andrew? What are you flipping a bat? You hit the home
Sorry,
run, and now
I-
you're flipping a bat to Andrew.
A little crotch
Never
chop
calling in
and
again.
hit the hang up button. I know that's not true.
Don't let him deter you,
I know
Andrew.
that's not true.
Andrew, you're the man. Appreciate it, sir. All right, 913-381-0810. You got Wander Franco over here flipping the baseball to himself on a routine ground ball.
I wish I was that cool.
God, I wish I was a tenth of that cool. If people have not seen that, go watch the play of Wander Franco fielding a ground ball at short, flipping it into the air, catching it, and then throwing to first nonchalantly, just because. It is one of the coolest things I've seen on a baseball diamond, and it is you can take your bat flips and I'll raise you baseball flips in the field while you're running to first. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, Todd Lebo here for my good friends at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC, the area's #1 GM dealer for a reason. They've got inventory, and they've got great deals going on right now. You can receive a 90-day money-back guarantee on every new Buick or GMC, and they've got an incredible selection of over 200 new vehicles, including the Yukons, Sierra HDs, the all-new redesigned Canyon, and they've got the best prices going right now, too. Up to $8,000 off new GMC Sierras, up to $4,500 off of Buicks right now. Get a lot more information online at robertbrogdon.com. Or go check them out in person at I-35 in Santa Fe. They've really got great customer service. They want to make deals with you. And I know inventory has been low for a few years with everything going on in the supply chain. Not the case now. Great selection, over 200 vehicles on the lot. They are ready to make deals for you. It's Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. They're number one, and it's all about the customers. Go check them out online at robertbrogdon.com or in person at I-35 in Santa Fe.
Join Sports Radio 810 WHB Thursday at Brookside Barrio as the program broadcasts live to continue the Corona Cinco de Mayo tour. Come out for great food and ice-cold Corona, Corona Light, and of course, Corona Premier. The Cinco de Mayo celebration will continue all week long at all 3 Barrio locations in Redbridge, Briarcliff, and Brookside. Come out for the Corona Cinco de Mayo tour. Come out for the Corona Cinco de Mayo tour with the program Thursday at Brookside Barrio.
At Shamrock Roofing and Construction, we've drafted our team, picked the top players, and trained hard in the off-season. So when severe weather strikes, one call does it all. Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Call 913-850-6556 for a free estimate today.
The Zone is brought to you by Google Fiber, award-winning internet without data caps, annual contracts, or hidden fees.
Award-winning barbecue bowls and smoked ribs and signature sandwiches are just a few things the Rub has to offer. Located off K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe, the Rub serves the best barbecue in Kansas City. From their smoky pulled pork and crispy burnt ends to their slow-roasted ribs and traditional barbecue sides, the Rub has anything a barbecue lover could ever want. Dine in, carry out, reserve a private room, or book their food truck or catering and let them bring the barbecue to you.
Are you looking for a career change? Let Sports Radio 810 help you with your search. Many local companies are hiring right now. Go to 810WHB.com, click on the Community tab, and search Job Connections. Great companies in Kansas City need you right now, and the compensation and benefits packages are excellent. Great companies like Amini's, Bigemer Electric, and Herzog. Check it out by logging on to 810WHB.com, clicking the Community tab, and searching Job Connections. 810 Job Connections, connecting you with your next career.
From trees that need planting to fences that need building, you have a lot to do. But that's no excuse to skip the most important step in any digging project, locating the underground facility. Submit a free locate request online at Missouri-811.org or by calling 811 3 working days before digging. Missouri 811 will contact the public utility owners so they can locate their underground utilities and you can dig with confidence. This ad is brought to you by Missouri 811.
Low testosterone affects many men today, even men as young as 30. But finding someone you can trust for quality low T treatment isn't so easy. This is Jeff, the CEO of Promenic Restorative Men's Health, and that's why I am pleased to announce the opening of Heartland Men's Health right here in Kansas City. Because as a Promenic affiliate, Heartland Men's Health has the experience and expertise to get you the right treatment for your particular medical situation. Heartland Men's Health is the leader in treating low testosterone. In fact, we've successfully treated thousands of men for low T and seen the amazing impacts low T treatments have. If you're like most men, you'll sleep better, have more energy, and improve mental clarity, better gains in the gym, and your sex drive will improve as well. But the best news is that all this will likely happen in just a few weeks. So call us. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T-test. .com.
Nine 810 Little sports or leisure here for the final segment. Presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 Johnny's Tavern on the line. Get a sports question and a leisure question right. You win $25 to Johnny's Tavern, where Josh will be this afternoon. What time and where?
I'm going to be at the Johnny's at the P&L alongside the good folks at Johnny's Tavern and Cars for Heroes. They award hundreds of donated vehicles to those in need. It's a great thing we've been involved with here at 810 for a long time, and a great chance to come on out and support Cars for Heroes, support Johnny's Tavern, say hi and hang out with us here from Sports Radio 810. So 4 to 6, I'll be out there at Johnny's at P&L to present a car to one of the heroes in the Cars for Heroes and to hang out and have a nice time out there at Johnny's. So come see me there, 4 to 6, Johnny's at P&L.
All right, 913-381-0810. Let's bring in Ben to the game. Sports or leisure, Ben, what side do you want to start with?
I'll try that leisure question about traveling 180 miles or whatever that was.
Yeah, if a car is driving at 40 miles per hour, how long will it take to go 180 miles?
I'm going to try 4.5 hours.
Well done.
Drake didn't even need a thumbs up from me until before he hit the buzzer.
Yes.
I didn't hear what you said there, Drake. Was
Ben, just for today, can we call you Obi-Wan?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Clearly the math was with him.
Call him whatever. You can call him just as long as you call me. All right, Ben, on to the sports side. We got NFL draft, Chiefs draft, and some Major League Baseball.
Let's just go NFL draft.
All right. I'm thinking about it now. I should add a whole category of Lorenzo Cain.
Ooh.
With the retirement coming up in a couple of days or the ceremony.
Idea.
Yeah, it would have been a good idea.
It's just which Royals center fielder every time? Which Brewers outfielder?
Right. All right, let's go with this one. Since Clyde Edwards-Helaire was drafted in the first round, there have been 2 running backs selected as first-rounders before this year, before a week ago. So since Edwards-Helaire and until this year, 2 running backs drafted in the first round. Name either. First-round drafted running backs since Clyde Edwards-Helaire and before Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. Either one.
I have a name. I don't know if he was before.
Well, Saquon was before Edwards-Helaire, just in case that was your
that was
guess,
what
yeah.
I was thinking.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, these guys were drafted in the 20s. I'll give you that hint.
Okay, I've been sitting here just
I'll give you that
stewing.
hint.
I've got one.
Well, you thinking of running backs
Stewing.
in the first round?
Yeah,
you would be stewing.
I've been
yes.
fuming mad
for 4 years now.
Can't believe it. Well, I can only think of one though.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if you could think of one, you might think of the other because they were back-to-back picks. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that
Still
crazy?
in? They're still playing?
They are still playing, both for their original teams that drafted them. Both starters.
I've lost confidence in the one pick that I had.
One the Chiefs went through on their way to a Super Bowl. Super Bowl win.
Super Bowl win.
That guy was a second-round pick. I'm wondering.
Well, that couldn't have been that first Super Bowl.
That's right. See, there you go. Now you've eliminated that one. How well done.
Okay, I got to start backtracking here.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Buffalo, Jacksonville. Oh, what's his name?
Okay, I've got my confidence back. My one pick.
You know, and the other one they went through a couple of years ago before losing to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. So they've actually played both these running backs in the playoffs the last 2 years. How about that? Yeah. Anyway, throw a dart. What do you say, Ben?
Oh man.
Throw a dart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who is it? What do you say?
James Robinson.
James Robinson
It's so tough.
is incorrect.
James
Ben,
Robinson
but
is the
right
reason
there.
that it was a great example for
Yeah.
drafting a running back. He's an undrafted free agent,
And they
6th round pick,
and then
something
they
like
traded James Robinson.
that. Yeah, they did, and they spent a 1st round pick on.
Let's go to
somebody.
Derek next up on Sports Radio 810. Derek, what side do you want to start with, sports or leisure?
Sports.
All right.
Chiefs draft.
Chiefs draft for you, and we don't have any out there, so let me give you.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
Josh Williams.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's
Hey,
exactly
there
right. I
we
was looking
go.
through. Yeah. You know why? Because in the break, Josh and I answered that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, Josh Williams is one of the 3 non-FBS football players that were drafted by Brett Veach before B.J. Thompson. Josh Williams is one of them. You want to throw a dart as to either of the other two?
L'Jarius Sneed?
Nope.
Louisiana Tech?
Yeah, nope, because that's it's non-Power 5. But the other two, Colin Saunders, Western Illinois, and Tremont Smith, Central Arkansas. On to leisure with Josh.
Do you know which category you'd like?
We'll go. God, I hope I'm smarter than a fifth grader.
Okay, it's a dangerous game because when you find out you're not, it's really unsettling.
I won't hold it against you. I think you are actually smarter than a fifth grader. It's just these are skewed towards fifth graders that are learning it specifically at that time. It's dumb.
How many nouns are in this sentence? Okay,
fifth graders are stupid.
How many nouns are in the following sentence? The rabbit ran into the cafeteria and ate a big salad.
Holy cow!
Okay. There was no cow involved. It was a salad. Well, could be a steak salad.
Could be rabbit.
Okay, is it the rabbit ran into the cafeteria and ate a big salad?
That's right.
Yeah, the rabbit ran to the cafeteria and ate a big salad.
Three
of them. Nice job. Well done,
See,
Derek.
that right there is
well done, sir.
Recognition of fear and then confidence is exactly what
right.
the fifth grader question should be about. Perfect.
Derek, we will put you on hold and get your information, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. About that. And he, a pronoun, is going to Johnny's Tavern, a noun. You know what a pronoun is?
I think there's going to be a joke here that...
It's a noun that gets paid for doing the exact same thing an amateur noun does for free.
There we go.
Let's go to Bill next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Bill, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
We'll do sports.
All right, NFL draft, Chiefs draft, Major League Baseball.
The Najee Harris question.
I like that one. Yeah, okay, so let's get to that one. Since Clyde Edwards-Helaire was drafted in the first round, there have been two running backs selected as first-rounders before this year. Name either of them.
I'll say Najee Harris of Pittsburgh.
There you go. Nice job. And drafted right after Najee Harris, oddly enough, was Travis Etienne.
That was I completely forgot about Najee Harris.
For the Jags. So Najee Harris 2 years ago in the first round, Travis Etienne divisional round last year. Leisure with Josh.
What category would you like?
We'll do fifth grader.
What is the largest and deepest ocean in the world?
Pacific.
Boom.
You're going to need me to be more Pacific.
Put
you on hold.
Just specific
Bill,
enough.
And
I'd like to donate that to Craig or the guy that's calling.
And then he will immediately give it to his wife because that's apparently the one thing that is separating him from divorce is getting this Johnny's Tavern gift card.
We really got to
very nice of you,
mend their
sir.
marriage next week.
Very nice of you. We'll put you on hold to get your information, Bill. Thank you. That's great. All right, and wrapping us up is Sammy. Sammy, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'll do fifth grader.
Okay. I'm gonna.
Yes, we were scrolling right past it.
Yeah. No,
I'm
sorry.
getting divorced.
I was just looking at the questions. A farmer notices that every day for the past 10 days, the number of pigeons in his field has doubled. There are 1,024 pigeons in the today, and there were 2 pigeons there the first day.
This is stupid.
How many pigeons were there yesterday?
Craig again. This is Craig, Jimmy, Sammy.
How many names do you have? How many pigeons were there yesterday?
Name the pigeons.
They've done.
And we need the names of them.
I had the previous question nailed, and
I didn't even know. I hadn't heard from you yet. I didn't know this was you again. This is just the next funny fifth grader.
Yep.
Stop asking for a category you're hitless in, man.
That's right.
Do a pun name game.
Throw a dart at how many pigeons?
We'll start with Jason then.
We're out of time. The show's running out.
You gotta throw a dart. How many pigeons?
Giacomo and 16. I don't know. Something like that.
Craig, Jimmy, Sammy, appreciate it. 0 for 6. But you know what? Bill's going to give you
Please, next week, call in. I'll ask you what color grass is. Like, I don't know, man. We'll get you there.
Well, could be bluegrass, so that's going to be...
I think I might start setting little traps for Craig, question mark.
Yes.
I need him to win just so Drake can find out what his actual name is.
I think it actually is Craig. He starts off with Craig.
And then he loses.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll take a 20-hour break. Swim Petro, the program. He's up next. Playoffs coming up tonight after crunch time. KC, the Sporting KC show as well. Enjoy it. Talk to you tomorrow.
Tonight on ESPN Radio.
Steph's got it. He's double teamed. Draymond now pull three for the tie. No good.
LeBron James and the Lakers steal home court advantage away from the Warriors with a huge Game 1 win in San Francisco. How will Golden State respond?
The NBA playoffs are on Sports Radio 810 WHB.